This is Danny and Dusty
Meringatang is going to be a thing.
You're not coining anything new.
with Danny Meringue and Dusty the Fan Man Hera.
I'll throw some monkey sounds in there and call it good.
The old Danny Meringue pie?
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080
Yeah. This is going to be awesome.
The Fan.
Welcome into Danny and Dusty. We are Dustyless because he is he's on a plane. Will Ortner in for Dusty.
Fine. What's up?
Hey.
How's it going?
Jeff Russ behind the glass as always.
Holla at your boy.
Ducks play a Friday. Quick programming note.
They do.
We will be on air here tomorrow, at least I will, for an hour before we hand you off to Ducks game day because they will be taking on Purdue. As I said, Dusty currently en route to where the Ducks will be staying in
West Lafayette?
West
The
Lafayette.
spoiler makers is what they're called.
Yeah, they're staying in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So
How far of a drive is that?
for them with the police escort? Like 20 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that Purdue was like in a suburb of
Yeah.
Indianapolis.
I mean, honestly, if you think about most colleges, like most colleges are in like some version of suburbs. Like there's not that many USC UWs.
68 miles between the two.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Central Washington was in a suburb of the great city of Yakima, so
There
that
you
makes
go.
sense.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd call that a suburb 68 miles out, but
Well,
that's a good haul.
would you call what's that? Like Ridgefield? So Ridgefield to Portland, is
Yeah,
that a suburb?
I wouldn't call that I don't think so.
Nah, that's greater Vancouver.
Do you call Newburgh a suburb?
No, I think that's honestly
Is it far enough away?
Sherwood's probably the furthest you would call a suburb,
Probably. Yeah, I think that sounds fair.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's like the end of the west side is probably North Plains down to Sherwood.
Is there like a definition of like once you exit this distance, you can no longer be a suburb?
I don't know. That's actually a good question.
I'm Googling it right
I
now.
think there's a general understanding of what feels correct.
Right, but my definition of a suburb might be a little bit different than yours.
I think basically once you go from like if you're in a genuinely like bigger city,
Mm-hmm.
like once you hit farmland, you once you become rural, you are no longer suburb.
Is this one of those things like once you see it, you know it?
Yeah,
Like,
it's like corn.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like the Supreme Court ruling on.
Well, but, like we've got farmland like a half mile from our house, and we're definitely still a suburb.
But I think you were like quite literally on the edge of it. As I was saying,
yeah,
like
I mean we are close to the urban
like-
growth boundary,
yeah,
yes,
like-
but yeah.
like North Plains / like you
Mm-hmm.
know, the county lines are usually like good. Like
I think I would still call like North Plains a suburb.
I was gonna say according.
so?
You're starting to get pretty close to the dividing line there.
right. No, that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
you again. I think the Supreme Court ruling is where we need to go with this. Like you know it when you see it.
Exactly.
I was gonna say because like when you go to Wikipedia, it doesn't have a true like definition. It's just within an area of a metropolitan area. It's like it's an area around the metropolitan area, and it's predominantly residential, and you can commute to a large city.
Oh wow. Somebody had their volume on the computer. There we go.
Sprague.
Caught me off guard.
Right?
I don't think mine over there has speakers. If it does,
It does.
It does it. All right.
Well, I plugged in a speaker. So there's a speaker that's plugged in. I don't know if yours has speakers.
Oh, okay.
But
There you
there's a speaker that's plugged in underneath.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, the one underneath. Yeah, that one gets unplugged all the time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
endlessly.
Yes.
Also,
That's your station monitor speaker.
yeah. I think both Dirt and I are okay with that, and probably Sook too. Just because, well, I think particularly Dirt and I because the show in between ours.
Mhm.
There's a character on that show that can get rather loud.
There's perhaps a certain amount
There's a
of
couple.
insufferability.
That you're just kind of like, nah, I'm good. I'm good without having that like boosted into my ear holes.
My favorite was the Jeremiah Smith take. That was an offensive PI. It's like he shoved him. That was perfect block teach tape.
There you go. Music, damn right. We will talk a little bit of Ducks Purdue. I don't think there's exactly a ton to dive into there, other than don't fall asleep at the wheel, which
Yeah.
it's been a situation in college football this year. So we'll dive into that.
'Cause we're looking at what, like a 28.5 point spread or something?
Last time I looked 27 and a
yeah,
half.
Yeah.
look, they're probably going to win by that much. I this year in college
DraftKings has it
football,
at 29.
I am not touching lines that big.
I was going to say Oregon actually has been really bad against the
Yeah,
spread
no,
this year.
but I
They've
mean-
only won 2 games.
But
Yeah.
Purdue is terrible.
They are, as the great Anthony Newman says, Purdue do.
Yes. Oh God, that's great. Purdue do.
They're not very good. Have you watched a Purdue game?
Yeah.
Not to get super
No, I
sportsy
watched
right
I
now.
watched the Oregon State one.
I watched the Oregon State one too, and there were so many times where I was like, they have 10 men on the field. What is happening?
Well, and
then
Oregon
it's like,
State
oh,
housed them, didn't they?
Yes.
yeah, they beat them pretty good. No, that's full strength Oregon State.
But
Oregon State recently has
But
had a lot of
still,
injuries.
I mean,
It's
again,
It's bad when you're watching a game and you're like, they have 10 guys on the field. Oh no, their safety's at 25 yards deep.
he's
I
gonna go
wonder
all the way
what
back there.
coverage they're in.
They're doo-doo.
yeah.
Is that
Per-
Anthony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
The man likes to say doo doo.
They're doo-doo also.
There's both a lot of doo doo.
That's
There's-
such a great job.
There's just certain things when you work in media where there's a word that you want to use and you can't use it,
Mhm.
and you will find something else and you will stick to that. It will become a thing that you're like, that's my go-to word. That's my euphemism for, and you'll find just interesting ones, and like every now and then you'll find a good one like that. Like instead of being able to say one word, you go with doo doo.
Doo doo.
Because he's got so much bass in his voice
He
Oh, yeah.
does.
Yeah.
that it
He's got a good baritone.
Whoa, wrong button.
They're doo-doo.
honestly, adding the drums behind it
Yeah,
was
the start of
actually,
the Olympic
that was
theme
kinda
there.
sick.
yeah, that was
That was fantastic.
They're doo-doo also.
Poor Anthony. He's gonna like go to practice tonight at Westwood, and there are gonna be people like, "Dude, you say doo doo a lot."
hit him endlessly with, every bad route. You're doo doo. I want to see the film sessions. Just have him be like, "You're doo doo."
You think he says that to the guys he's
I
coaching?
hope so.
Just like, hey
This-
man, that
This is doo doo.
coverage right there was doo doo. What kind of pass rush there?
Yeah, hand placement, doo doo.
Right now, your footwork, it's doo doo. We got to
Doo-doo.
fix this.
Right here, you're
Stinky.
yes, you're stepping in doo doo.
We-
It's one of those kind of deals.
At Central, we had a defensive coordinator who, at the beginning of the year, he would buy 4 or 5 clickers
Mhm.
so that when he was going through huddle, he could break them at different points because he knew that he would.
Yeah,
And
Smart man.
my favorite was at the beginning of the year. Every year, he went full like, you got to start hard and then like work back and
Yeah.
be softer on guys.
just rear back
Every
and
year.
fire that thing across the room.
After the first practice, which mind you, non-padded,
Mhm.
non-contact,
He's
he
trying to
would
bring the juice.
he would find someone, and if they did the wrong call or the
Mhm.
wrong footwork, he would yell at them to see what they would do. And the best one ever was we had this all-American middle linebacker, and we had another all-conference will linebacker.
Mhm.
And the will linebacker got a couple of the calls confused, and he was like, "Hey man, can we like change him a little bit so I don't get confused?" And the coach, instead of being like, "Yeah, maybe we look at that," or "No, we're not going to look at it. You need to be smarter," he
Yeah.
just looked at him and was like, "You've made this meeting horrible for everyone." The defensive lineman didn't go to the wrong gap. He did what he was supposed to do. He didn't jump off sides. He stepped with his left foot first instead of his right foot.
Mhm.
And the coach screamed at him, took his clicker, spiked it off the wall
Mhm.
in a classroom because we didn't have designated meeting
There
rooms.
you go.
This was a normal classroom.
Just chunk
It
out of the wall.
exploded
There you go.
everywhere.
Perfect.
Chunks flying.
going on?
Yes.
I think he used more colorful language than that. He was a big C-bomb guy, not afraid to throw those
Oh,
around.
Oh,
And then he kicked everyone out, and I got to hear about it from all the other freshmen in my apartment.
Nice.
They all came over to my house after because I had a couple buddies, and they were like, "Dude,
you're
this
like,
is
"Ah,
what
no, that's-
college
that-
football's like."
That's just normal. That's
It's
week
like
one.
it was like, yeah, actually, he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. He's now at an FBS school. I will not name that school,
There you go.
nor will I name that coach.
There you go.
But
Protected anonymity. We like it here.
it was epic. He was also like his big line. If you messed up on something, he'd just walk over to you and be like, "School's going to be a lot more expensive next year." And then he'd walk away.
Damn. Damn.
It was awesome.
That's nasty work.
It was great. And then the best part was we used to do this like little kids
Cool.
camp. And so he's got like 8 kids. He has 1,000 children, and his oldest kid is like 6. And his kid is playing catch with our quarterback, and he keeps dropping the ball. And he turns and he looks at the other coaches. And he goes, "Oh, school's going to be expensive for my son." His kid is 6.
I mean, you do what you got to do.
Which is what I think some of the early seasons of Modern Family too. The Phil and Claire lamenting about how they probably won't have to worry about paying for college for Luke.
Yeah, they're like, this will be fine.
Yeah. I don't think he's making it.
Trade school.
On today's show, though, we will dive into some Thursday Night Football, which, but that's an absolute stinker. 2 o'clock, we'll get our picks in. Sabrina and Askew called game last night.
It was
A little
awesome.
WNBA action. For those of you that get mad about it, I don't care. Basketball, we'll talk about some basketball. But Portland Trailblazers played last night. You saw Scoot Henderson turn a little bit of a corner to Monty Kamara. Should he be starting? Do a little Donovan Clingan stock watch update. I think something we'll kind of track this season is the old Kling Kong's growth throughout the season. He's not going to have be the big shiny toy that Scoot Henderson was in the draft last year because it was such an electric draft class. But we'll talk about that a little bit, and then we'll dive all over the sports calendar or the sports weekend. That is, we'll hit some more college football, we'll dive some NFL. But I think the NFL is where we got to start because we have a healthy quarterback on a winning team that it's getting the hook in Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Steelers have decided to make a change, and well, Justin Fields isn't too happy about it. We'll dive into that here to start off today's show here on Danny Dusty, Danny the Fan. Doesn't matter what year it is post Ben Roethlisberger, the Pittsburgh Steelers still have not figured out their quarterback situation, despite starting the season 4-2. Justin Fields, who has led the Steelers that 4-2 record, addressed the media following practice, and it very much sounds like he's afraid that he's going to lose his job. Justin Fields did not sound very confident when he was asked what his position might be coming in this weekend.
I mean, I don't think I played, good enough. If I'm being real with you, if I'm being real with myself, I think if I did play well enough, I don't think there would be any sort of who should be playing, who should not. So at the end of the day, we got a few wins. Of course, I'm glad about that, but there's areas that I could be better at, and I'm just gonna continue to work on those and continue to get better.
Justin Fields has been fine if you're talking about replacement level quarterback.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair, but also that's about what Pittsburgh kind of wants out of their quarterback.
I'm just kind of going through the NFL leaderboards here, and there he is. Sandwiched in between Sam Darnold and Bo Nix is Justin Fields in total yards. But what he's not been able to generate is big plays in the air. He's had a couple bigger breaking runs, which is kind of what he has done, but he is not and has not been, outside with the exception of one game, been capable of pushing anything down the field. And the Steelers aren't going to be a team that's going to punch you in the mouth with offensive power. They're going to beat you with defense, protecting the ball, running the clock, grinding you out, the way the Steelers have always been successful. But their margin for error is razor thin because their quarterback play has been so subpar. Outside of the one performance where he had over 300 yards passing, Fields has struggled to break 150 yards. And even with the NFL being in a place where, scoring's down, it's you're looking at quarterback play in the NFL right now, probably at an all-time high from top to bottom. And the Steelers just really can't, if they hope to compete, they have to at least take a look at Russell Wilson, because as crazy as it sounds, he affords them the best possible chance to have a more dynamic offense.
I think maybe through the air, you're not too far off there. I'll be interested to see. This is a very young Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line. And so at times when they've had issues, Fields has been able to just tuck the ball and run, because there are very few that can run the ball from the quarterback position the way that he can. He can be physical if he needs to, but he's also fast and pretty slippery. Russell Wilson has made it very clear ever since he left Seattle, and even his last couple of years, he doesn't want to move. Right?
I don't even think it's an option.
And ever since he had the finger injury, he lost a lot of the touch, especially on his deep ball that he used to have that made him so great when he was in Seattle. So I'm interested to see how long, if it is Russell Wilson who starts, how long that experiment is. Because at this point, if you're a Steelers fan, you're not going to win games because of your quarterback. Right now, what Tomlin is asking for is a quarterback that can manage the game and not turn the ball over. And I can't believe I'm saying this. Justin Fields has done that well. When he was in Chicago, he had a bunch of issues turning the football over. Now, is he winning games because of his arm? No, he's not even really winning games because of his legs.
In fact, he's put him in some negative positions because he does have 4 fumbles in
right.
the season.
Like that's why you lost to the Colts. Now, with Russ, do you lose some of those fumble issues? I would think so, but you also might add in, it might be a wash when you add in interception issues because you can't throw the ball the same way. Also at wide receiver, George Pickens is athletic, but how many times have you seen him quit on routes? If he's
crazy.
If he's not the main target on a route, that dude stops running. So there are a bunch of issues offensively. It's not just at the quarterback position, and I wouldn't be shocked if in 2 or 3 weeks, Justin Fields, if he's not starting right now, he comes back in and is the starter just because he can move a little bit and run.
Which is mildly problematic because, of course, the old adage of if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none.
You're right. Yeah. And they don't really have one.
Vancouver Ford text line, they might as well give Wilson a shot. He's free this year, make the decision for the future. And that's exactly what they're doing. They got 2 quarterbacks. This is the Dad has bought his son a nice first car, and the first car he wrecked it. And now it's like, no, we're not getting you a new car. No, the insurance is not going to pay this. We're going to go find you a beater out of the paper, and we'll see if that works for you. And if that one doesn't work, we'll get you another one. Well, but we're not spending $15,000 on a new car anymore. You're going to get something that's used and needs a little bit of work. And I mean, that's what the Steelers have done. I mean, they've tried to draft quarterbacks and failed miserably because they just have a penchant for drafting big white dudes.
Well, it worked with Big Ben, so they're going to keep going back to the. Well, I mean, John Elway was the same way. That guy drafted Brock Osweiler just because he was 6'8".
Yeah, he just kept going down. And then you look at what the other Paxton Lynch.
Oh my God, that guy was horrible.
Yeah, they just kept going. Like he big. Must
He's
get
big, big arm.
Yeah,
that's what I was.
And it's like, it's the idea of Justin Fields. I understand why people were so enamored with him. I've never, ever been a fan because of his wild inconsistencies with his accuracy, his not only inability but the lack of willingness to throw the ball across the middle. The way the Steelers are run, it is genuinely interesting because there's organizations and teams have identities, but they do change over time. Like, you go look at the last great dynasty, the best dynasty in the NFL, the Patriots.
Right.
You can say, well, yeah, they were built on Belichick's defense, and they were built on the running game, and they were built on Tom Brady and all this. But the different versions that they had throughout the years, more explosive offensively, more conservative offensively, more run-focused, more short passing game, more explosive plays. Like, they had different versions of what they could be. The Steelers have one version of themselves, and it's really always been the same, which is the steel curtain. Right. You had two quarterbacks in between who surpassed the mediocre line in Bradshaw and Roethlisberger, and then in the meantimes, you had the Neil O'Donnells of the world. You had the Tommies of the world, and but their identity and their organization has always been the same. And I don't think unless they had a legitimate Mahomesian level, Josh, you know what? Honestly, Josh Allen might actually be the ideal.
Yeah,
Steeler quarterback.
But I also think that a guy like Josh Allen is the ideal quarterback for a lot of organizations.
But you understand what I'm saying? Like he doesn't have to throw it 40 times a game, but he would fit into the big, strong, powerful arm.
He turns the ball over a lot, though, too. When good Josh Allen is there, there's few who are better. Mm-hmm. In fact, there might only be one. But when bad Josh Allen is there, that's where a lot of turnovers happen. And it's been very clear that the Steelers don't want that at the quarterback position. They don't want a quarterback that's willing to turn the ball over. I mean, even when they were at their most explosive. So basically everything at the tail end of Roethlisberger's career, except for the last two, where you have Antonio Brown, you got the old Oregon State wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster jumps into that for a little bit. I even think Deontay Johnson jumps into there a little bit. You have Le'Veon Bell. That was one of the more explosive offenses that they had. Mm-hmm. Defense wasn't quite up to par to what it's been for years and years and years. As good as they were, they didn't get anything done when it comes to winning a Super Bowl. I don't even believe that they won an AFC title going through that time. They didn't win the AFC conference. No. And so I think that Tomlin looks at that and he goes, look at all the headaches that I had to deal with during that. I'm going to get back to what I do
There's
best.
Stability.
And
there's a bar that you can clear.
My organization does. Yeah. And think about it, though. Like, what was Bill Cowher known for as a head coach? He is known for having a great defense and an offense that isn't going to turn the ball over. You're going to be in a lot of games, and then you just have to find ways to win them. Tomlin is from the school of Cowher, and this is what has worked.
They've had 3 coaches for 40 years.
Right, and this is what has worked. Yeah. So why would you deviate from something, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Mm-hmm. And they're not going to do that. And the couple years that they did, they didn't finish any better necessarily than what they've done now. No. Like, are they a Super Bowl team? No, they're not. But they're going to be just good enough to where you're in the playoff hunt every year. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to get a good draft pick. And right now, free agent quarterbacks don't want to go there because they don't want to play for an OC. And last couple of years it was Canada. Now it's back to Smith. Yeah. They don't want to play for those guys because those guys are going to run the ball 30 to 40 times a game.
And they're not going to get guys paid. The only way I see Pittsburgh finding their way out of this in the long term, because I don't think Russ is ever going to be an answer, and I don't think Justin Fields is ever going to figure it out.
I think if they go to Russ, they will go back to Fields at some point this year. I almost guarantee it.
I do for a different reason. I'm in the same vein, in that Russ will probably get hurt. The wheels are just falling off.
He's old and he's small.
Yeah.
And you age a lot faster when you're little.
Oh, I mean, look at what happened to Flutie and Breeze down the stretch, man. Like those guys who were smaller, they fall off. I mean, you can't rely on I can put a little bit of weight on. I can protect myself a little bit. Like you have to have something. And those guys just, when you're diminutive and Russ is tiny, the one thing I will say that Russ does have going for him is that he is a thick.
Yeah.
And it's like
with 2 C's.
Yes, and as contrary as that is to probably think about, it is helpful. It
It
does
is.
protect you. But how many different hamstring injuries has he had now?
He's had a couple. I really think the biggest injury for his career is the finger injury.
Yeah.
And it sounds like dumb, like finger is going to affect you, but it's a finger on the quarterback's throwing hand, and now he can't throw the ball the way that he's wanted to. Ever since that injury, 3-4 years ago, his deep ball's been gone. So teams haven't really been fearful of that. And as you get older, you lose a little bit of arm strength. You lose a little bit of accuracy.
Unless you're Aaron Rodgers.
You're not able to move. Even he's losing it.
I know. But I mean,
You know what I mean?
The Hail Marys.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Somehow, some way, he still
With
finds a way to
him, for
uncork it
whatever
60
reason.
yards and put it on a plate.
I also wonder, to a little bit, of how much of this is Russ's camp just beating down the doors of the front office of the Steelers. Like, it's been pretty clear. Every stop that Russ has had, at least since the last, 4 or 5 years that he was in Seattle, his camp has started making calls that most other players, let alone, players at the age that he's at, get to make. I mean, dude, he had his own office in Denver. That's insane.
I mean, that's the thing is, I think the organizational structure of the Broncos was pretty poor compared to, particularly when you're talking about the new ownership group and the front office and the changeovers and everything that they ceded to Russ when they brought him in. That's not the case in Pittsburgh. Everybody knows who rules that organization. You may talk about ownership and how long the family's been in power and blah, blah, blah. Mike Tomlin runs that organization with an iron fist.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, and there's not gonna be Russ's Mr. Unlimited. That's not happening. I mean,
yeah,
Antonio Brown is still, to this day, one of the most talented wide receivers of all time. And even and this is before he was becoming seriously problematic. He was mildly problematic with the Steelers. And regardless of his talent, they said, no, we're good. So, and Russ is nowhere near that level of talent.
Right.
And so they just won't even, Russ, I think, has had to be on his P's and Q's.
And
because if he doesn't, they'll hit him with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
It's probably his last shot.
Yeah.
And so, but I also get like, hey, you got to take a look at him. He's been hurt. Can he return back to Seattle, Russell Wilson? Because if he can, he's actually the perfect quarterback. The thing about it is, I don't think that he has Seattle Russell Wilson back in him. And you're going to have to move. I like where the O-line is headed in Pittsburgh. I love that they have Sam Alou there. And so he's able to teach the young guys. But it's still a young offensive line. And so they're going to make mistakes. And when they make those mistakes, it's nicer to have a mobile quarterback who can move, and I don't think that Russ can move the way that he used to. He's not going to wiggle out of sacks like he did back in 2011, right? He's not going to wiggle out of sacks like he did back in 2014, 2015. He is an older, more immobile quarterback now, and he's small. So he's going to take hits and hits and hits. And I just think that Justin Fields fills that role better right now.
It's going to be interesting to see what the Steelers end up doing with this. It's so rare, it's so unique that a team that is 4-2 and really just kind of plugging along and doing what they do, they've found a way to make this season weird.
Yes, they did.
Speaking of making the season weird, Russell Wilson's former team, the Denver Broncos, I don't really know what to make of this Broncos team and their current iteration and just the injuries that are piling up, but this game might be the worst nationally televised game we see this season. I'm pretty certain. Broncos Saints is. Have the Browns played their Thursday night game yet?
No, but they will. And that game will suck.
That'll be the worst. This will be right there alongside it because the injuries are piling up. But we'll dive into that game and more. But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, Sean Payton returns to New Orleans as the Broncos visit the Saints tonight to start Week 7 in the NFL. No Pat Surtain for Denver. New Orleans will be without Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Taysom Hill is doubtful. 5:15 kick on Prime Video. The Saints are 2.5-point home dogs. Over in Major League Baseball, both league championship series in action today. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts in about an hour. In the American League, from Cleveland, the Yankees look to take a commanding 3-0 series lead. Clark Schmidt on the bump for New York. Matthew Boyd for Cleveland. 2:08 first pitch on TBS, True TV, and Max. Once that game is over, we'll go to Queens. The Mets looking to even it up with the Dodgers at 2 games apiece. Yoshinobu Yamamoto for LA. Jose Quintana for New York. In the association, ESPN reporting Clippers forward Kawhi Leonard will be sidelined indefinitely as he rehabs from inflammation in his right knee. And Thunder center Isaiah Hartenstein suffered a small, non-displaced fracture in his left hand and will be reevaluated in 5 to 6 weeks. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
One number does it all for contests and text in your favorite fan shows. The Vancouver Ford text line is 503-864-6FAN.
When you're hiring for your
We'll get to our picks here at 2 o'clock Thursday afternoon. I gotta text Dusty and make sure we get his picks.
He got him in.
Did he get him in?
Yeah, they're on the dock.
Okay, good. I didn't get a chance to
I
see
texted him earlier.
it. Excellent. Thank you. Look
Is
at
he
you.
on the plane right now?
I would imagine.
I'm not sure.
I say I don't know when they leave. Like I don't know. I only got to fly chartered once, so I'm not even an expert. He'd know more than I do. There's so many good snacks on chartered planes.
I know shortly after I texted him, he hopped on the dock and got it taken care of. So
Attaboy.
I think at that point he wasn't on the plane yet.
I
anyway,
mean, they could have been. He could be getting the in-flight Wi-Fi.
oh, there we go. Very point. Yeah,
Oh,
valid
for
point.
sure. The Ducks aren't flying without in-flight Wi-Fi.
I'm gonna imagine not.
It's not Central Washington Wildcats. You're not flying Southwest.
I mean, it's chartered life. They aren't flying on the swoosh, but they're flying chartered.
They're flying all right. I'll tell you what. There's nothing rougher than hopping on a Southwest flight when they tell you, hey, this thing's going to be full. And you're with a bunch of 300-pound O&D linemen. Not fun. Not fun
Is that
at
what they
all.
threw you guys on?
That's what we could afford, man. When you're making 4 or 5 flights a year and you're a D2 team, there
no.
ain't a lot of money going
Oh
around.
no, I get it. It's just that's tough.
Nothing worse than when you and your big old O-lineman buddy sit one in the window, one in the aisle, and just like hope, pray. No one's going to sit in the middle. No one's going to want to get in between us. There's one seat left, and at the very last minute, another big guy, but a normal guy, walks onto the flight, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to sit with you guys. I want to talk ball. It's like, you suck.
Yeah, that's tough. This is going to be a tough watch tonight between the Broncos and Saints. You have a pile of injuries. For the Denver Broncos, they probably have a massive injury. Even though they're going to get Mike McGlinchey back, he's supposed to be reactivated from the injury report. Their offensive tackle. I believe I saw one of the NFL newsbreakers said Baron Browning was also perhaps going to be activated as well.
Surtan's out.
Surtain is out. And Surtain is he is such an unbelievably good corner. And because the Broncos and let's be honest, the AFC West outside of the Chiefs are so bad, nobody really notices and or cares. So he probably doesn't get the shine that he should. I honestly, I think it's between him and Sauce are probably the two best corners I think in the league right now.
He's been really good. The one thing that I've noticed, not that I've watched a ton of Denver Broncos games this year, but I did watch the full Seahawks game, and I've seen a couple others through the NFL Red Zone. He's had games where, like against DK only had like 2 catches for 20 yards or whatever it was, but he also had 2 or 3 defensive PIs, and they were all on DK.
I mean,
And
he's
so-
just super aggressive.
100%, which is fine, and it's clear that he's like locking guys down, but I do think that it's important to throw that in as well, because, I mean, essentially, if he gave up 20 receiving, but he has 3 DPIs, he gave up 65 yards to DK, but 3 of them are penalties, and usually they came at a big moment in that game. So as good as he has been, I still think that sometimes he gets overinflated where you don't look at the full picture.
That's fair. That's those are the 3 core injuries I think for the Broncos. With 2 of those, obviously McGlinchey and Surtain being pretty big. If McGlinchey can go, that's a big help. The Saints, however, oh sweet dear Jesus, they are a mash unit. Pete Werner, Cesar Ruiz, so linebacker, center, Derek Carr probably not going to go. Rashid Shaheed is out. Taysom Hill, I think they updated him to out. Chris Olave out. Will Harris is on IR. It is positions of impact.
Yes, it is.
And a team that started the season with so much promise, back-to-back games, just going absolutely bonkers offensively, their ability to find anything is going to be severely hampered and severely challenged.
You still have Kamara. I mean, you got a shot there. Just get the ball out of Spencer Rattler's hands quick and early and get it into Kamara's hands. But no, this feels...
the ball can leave his hands quick and early. It just may not end up in Kamara's. It might just end up in somebody else's hands.
That is fair. But I will tell you what, Bo Nix has had moments this year where he looks really, really good, and then he's had moments where he's looked rough and he looks like a rookie quarterback. I think that the last game against the Chargers was the perfect encapsulation of what Bo Nix has been this year, where in the first half, you see him make some mistakes. He's not pushing the ball down the field as well as he needs to. A little bit, too. His offensive line, they're not helping him out, so he's running around for his life. And then in the second half, you see him start to help get drives going down. He's making great throws to Troy Franklin, and they're connecting. They're getting touchdowns. I believe last week they had the first ever All Ducks touchdown. You had Forsyth snapping, you had Nix throwing, and Troy Franklin catching.
There you
So
go.
everyone who touched the ball was a Ducky. So good for them. But I think that there's a chance that this game turns into a chaotic, fun NFL cosplaying game as a action game. You have rookie quarterbacks. You have a bunch of injuries now with Denver, some on the offensive side, some on the defensive side. In New Orleans, most of your injuries are on your offensive side. So now you got a bunch of practice squad guys going after it.
It seemed to work out pretty well for the Bills the other night, bringing their elevating the practice squad running back and having him give them their best running back production probably of the season.
Right. And now I'm not claiming that this game's going to be awesome. I'm not going to sit up here and be like, it's going to be great. But sometimes it's fun to turn on Toledo versus Buffalo on a Wednesday night.
But see, that's
and
for
crazy
college,
things happen.
not NFL.
But crazier things have happened. You were saying like this is the worst primetime game this year. Now, I know the London games aren't primetime. I'd make the argument it's not even the worst nationally televised game this week. You've got New England taking on Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville has already
there, though.
I think they've already quit on the year.
I think you're right.
The only reason that you're watching this game is like, is Drake May going to be good?
That and
or does he
Trevor
die?
Lawrence cooked?
Trevor Lawrence, I think, might be cooked.
Which, boy, that's a tough one to swallow.
That quarterback draft class looks worse and worse every single hour. It's not even every day.
I don't even think you need to say quarterback draft class. I think you just say draft class.
It's a rough one, man.
It's just...
What's your best guy out of there? Micah Parsons? That's that draft class, right?
Yeah, 21, right?
Yeah.
Squirrel moment. Who looks more like the Easter Island heads, Trevor Lawrence or Joey Bosa?
Bosa.
Yeah.
Bosa, but that's a pretty good one. I miss the old TikTok videos when the one girl would cosplay as Trevor Lawrence. Those ones always cracked me up, too.
I mean, your first 4 picks, Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, Pitts. Now, it gets crazy good after that. It's Chase, Waddle, Sewell, Horn, Surtain, Smith.
Right.
But, I mean, like, that first 4 of that draft, you're just like...
It's rough.
Pitts had a great rookie year.
Rough.
And then, it just been, maybe he's not that guy.
Right.
It's kind of funny. You take a look at the groupings. You get that group, not good. Then you get the Chase, Waddle, Sewell, Horn, Surtain, Smith group, and you're like, and then Fields, like, oh, God. Then Micah Parsons, Rashawn Slater, Elijah Vera Tucker, you're like, all right.
Pretty good. Vera Tucker's the worst one out of there, and he's an average player.
He'd be better if he could just stay healthy.
That would be
That
true.
was the thing for him. Then it's Mac Jones, Zaven Collins, Alex Leatherwood. Oof.
Leatherwood they knew it was a bad pick the minute it got taken.
Yeah, I mean,
that was
I
a
remember
rough
seeing
one.
that one and going, I'm sorry, what?
Like, why? Yo, you mean the guy who's supposed to be in the second round? But I'm just saying, like, I think that there are redemptive qualities for this Thursday night game because I think that there can be chaos.
You're looking for the redemption in the crap, though.
Yeah.
This is like
glass half full, man.
I don't think it's glass half. I mean, it's glass half full of crap.
Glass quarter full.
Like you're basically taking that nasty sand at the beach that's like not really sand, and you're sifting through it, and you're like, oh, a quarter. Like that's
no. You know what I'm doing? I've got the I've got Rainier beer in. I'm over here. You're upset because it's not pub beer. Pub beer is delicious, and you're upset because I've got a glass half full of Rainier, and I'm looking at it like I would prefer to have pub beer.
Sure,
but I'm gonna be okay.
Look,
with this
I know the
beer.
NFL is keen and set on like everybody's got to play a Thursday night game because of scheduling and making sure it's fair for everyone, and some teams have 2, but also. Can we, when they looked at that on the matchup, there's no way they were like, yeah, that's going to be a good game.
No, but you know what? Why it's intriguing?
That's redemptive.
It's Sean Payton versus New Orleans. And people will tune in, and you'll go on Twitter today, and there will
Sean
be a
Payton
bunch
going to go out there and throw?
No, but there will be a bunch of memes of Kevin James dressed up as Sean Payton, and it'll be funny. That's what it is.
If that's the redemptive part of the game, you're selling the point for me that this game sucks.
But it could be chaotically fun. All football is fun.
That's not true.
Aside from that one
Sun
Sun Bowl where it was Oregon State and Pitt. My eyeballs did bleed after that game. That was a bad one.
Bad football exists.
Yeah, but you know what? When it's the middle of June, you're going to be like, man, I really wish I could watch that Denver Broncos, New Orleans Saints Thursday night game.
When you get one of these
it'll be fine.
When you get one of these Steelers,
it's football,
Panthers games, you're just it ends up being 9-3, and not in oh my God, these defenses are so good. It's like, no, both these teams are so inept or so injured. You get that last week of the season or second to last week of the game of the season where it's a 1-15 team against a 2-14 team, and you're like, nobody has anything to play for, and you're like, Oh. And then you don't even get to like hey, let's let the young guys go out there and play because the vets are out there trying to get bonuses.
Well, they're trying to make sure they get a contract next year.
And it just devolves into the most selfish, disgusting pile of goo you've ever seen.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's a chance that the Jets-Steelers game on Sunday night could turn into that as well.
You're not wrong.
I mean, it's not like the offense has looked amazing. And if they do make the move to Russ in Pittsburgh, how great is that? Look, sometimes you have a whiff. Not every time you go up and you hit a home run for a Thursday night or a Sunday night game. Would you say that last week the Seahawks 49ers game like really blew your hair back?
Game sucked.
It was fine.
It sucked.
It was close-ish at the end. There was some care. There was some intrigue. But that's kind of what Thursday night is.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Half in, half out.
Well, you can't have Cincinnati versus Kansas City on a Thursday
why
night.
not?
Because then if one team loses, they're going to cry about it because it's not fair because you didn't give them that matchup.
What do you mean?
Sorry, you didn't give them the full week to prepare.
No.
They're not going to do that. They might do it for a Monday night game.
They're both playing at the same time.
They're both playing on short prep.
Yeah, the fan
Honestly-
base will complain.
Honestly, that's when those games should be played.
Not
Is
on
when-
Thursday.
No.
Sunday night.
No. If you're going to short prep good teams, make them play each other. Make them. That's always been my thing on Thursday night. If you're gonna have the short week, and they're eventually gonna go Friday night too. We know it's gonna happen.
Unfortunately,
they're gonna head down that path. They're not gonna let that look. Fridays for high school. I'm with Dusty on this, but we know where this is headed.
right.
But my thought process has always been instead of like if you're going to make everybody play, do primetime Thursday night, make it be a primetime thing. Or if you move to Friday, make that be a primetime thing and make Thursday the suckfest.
What they should do in a perfect world is Thursdays are after the bye.
I mean, yes, but
That's the perfect world.
I don't think that
because then
the
you don't have
scheduling
the
world
short week.
allows that to actually take place.
I don't believe that the schedule is real. I feel like you can find a way to do that.
What's
if you
crazy
really
is they
wanted
used to do that all by hand.
Yeah, that blows my mind.
That's like the NBA one's nuts. There was a guy that did it for like 20 years.
It's like accountants that are able to take like accounting on like a full big business.
Mhm.
Like you used to do that with like an abacus.
Yeah.
Like how does that happen?
We call him Rain Man.
Yeah. Someone who's never been in the room with calculus, it blows my mind every time.
Or Sean Kemp,
I don't get that reference.
the Rain Man.
Oh, see, I was like Dustin Hoffman was Rain Man,
Killing me.
and
I
then
wonder if
Tom
Sean
Cruise.
Kemp an excellent driver?
Probably.
Hasn't he had
He
car
did,
wrecks?
no, he got caught in a drive-by.
That's right.
Last year,
Oh shit,
That
that's right.
was
Yeah.
him.
they drove by on him, and I think he fired back. I think is what ended up happening.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. I mean-
yeah, that was in like Tacoma.
Which it has its own. Look, total squirrel moment. I think it was in Tacoma. There's a neighborhood up there where a Army Ranger moved into it and ended up fighting off an entire gang. Had like a full-on shootout. They told him they were going to kill him, and he called over some other buddies, and they went BYOB, but it was BYOG.
I was gonna say,
And
wait
they-
a minute.
And they
What gun starts with a B?
barricaded the house and like tactically took down gang members. It's a documentary.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
I'll pull it up. during the
That's a
break.
crazy
It's
story.
insane.
I'm also gonna say this, and it might be controversial,
Hmm.
might not be. If someone is going to try and kill me for living in a neighborhood,
Mhm.
I think I just move.
Hey man, some people like the freedoms.
I'm free to move somewhere else.
Mhm.
I'll move. You know what? That's one I might lose. Like if someone came up to me and was like, "Hey, give me your wallet," I'd be like, "Yeah, all right,
Sure.
have it."
They,
Oh, yeah,
some
whatever.
people also are free to volunteer as tribute.
That is also fair too.
And
That
if
is
you-
also
and
fair
if you
too.
want to pick that fight with a group of Army Rangers,
That would not be the crew that I would go against. I would go against Steve,
go.
who's like really excited for
The-
his
the
CrossFit
accountant.
class on
Yes, yeah.
on Saturday.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna try and force someone out of their house, you know what? It's not gonna be Dale, the big Army Ranger.
No,
I'm gonna go after
the guy with truck
Steve.
nuts and like multiple rifle cases in the back of the window. That's not the guy.
I'm going after Steve and his Toyota Prius.
100%.
Who's really excited about his Saturday morning CrossFit session.
Hey, speaking of Toyota Prius, former Oregon Duck Serena Ionescu had a hell of a night last night. We'll get the sound and the sights coming from the WNBA Finals. We'll get you here coming up next here on Danny and Dusty, Today the Fan.
selection and the mirror's reflection. I'm a dancing with myself.
8 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter of game 3. 4 seconds. Ionescu will heave and hit! And hit! Sabrina Ionescu with the biggest shot in Liberty history.
The New York Liberty take a step forward in evening up the series, winning last night. Actually, excuse me, 2-1 now. New York series lead. On a game winner in the final seconds, Sabrina Ionescu with the step back to her left, pull up 3, cashes out 13 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. For what has been an incredibly entertaining WNBA final so far. The Liberty and the Lynx, I believe, are the two most. They have become the Celtics and Lakers of the NBA finals. They are teams that are consistently in and around the finals regularly. Existing for a long time matters. But this is it's not often you get. We talk about game winners, and what make them special is, number one, the rarity of their occurrence, but the magnitude.
Right.
Jordan's push-off on Russell isn't just great because it's a great shot. It's because it's in the NBA Finals.
Right.
Dame's .9 is great because of what it is in the playoffs. Dame waving goodbye to the Thunders because he snatched their soul and sent them home.
Mm-hmm.
There's so few game-winning shots in the playoffs. Like, the clock goes down, bang,
Right.
And Sabrina got to have one of those moments, and it's pretty cool. Having somebody local, or at least University of Oregon, if not high school player, get to have one of those moments, because the story of Sabrina's career is she got robbed because of COVID.
Yeah, she would have had, and that Oregon team was legit. They would have had a really
Final
good
Four
shot.
They were a Final Four team,
winning
for sure.
a title.
Yeah,
and
100%.
And it was all built around what she could do, because she's so gifted all around. Like, you have a lot of players that can score, you have a lot of players that can get assists, but it's few that can score and get assists at the same time while not being like a ball hog.
No, I mean, her and Clark are constant triple-double threats.
Yeah.
They are incredibly talented. They have range well beyond the three-point line. They can create for their teams. They can toggle on and off ball. They actually both rebound. The WNBA is, there's a reason why Portland's getting a team. Like, it's growing, and you can be mad about it, and you can be on the text line and be like, I don't care. People care, man, and that's the thing. It's cool to see somebody local have that moment. And Sabrina, she kept a little bit of fire going into the post game. This is what you do after you hit a game winner. You go into the post game, you get a little fiery.
I trust in my preparation. I'm built for this moment. I missed one that could have sealed the game, and I just got an open look, and I trusted that I could make it. My teammates got me open, and God, it feels good to get a win.
I mean, she that's a different clip than I thought it was. She also said in the postgame that she, pretty good for a second team All WNBA.
I personally thought that only a second team WNBA player could make that shot. Like, there's no first team player that could make it.
I love the saltiness of that. That's like,
she's grumpy, man.
No, there's been some infighting. There's been some between Brianna Stewart of the New York Liberty and Aja Wilson, who was the runaway MVP, and there's some chirping back and forth. They're like, this is the kind of world I'm here for.
But that's why people care about the game more now.
Yeah, because there's some stakes. There's some skin in the game.
There's some fire. There should be trash talking in sports. I hate when people do the whole act like you've been there before. Don't throw shots at other people.
It's like,
no, man.
Being a professional is being a little chirpy.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
and trash talk has been happening since the beginning of time.
We laud the Larry Birds of the world for who's coming in second, and then say be a professional. It's like, no, you don't get to have it both ways.
No.
Speaking of basketball trash talk, saw Tumani Kamara last night with the Portland Trailblazers taking on Ratio Farm doesn't count in the record books in the old preseason, but Tumani chirping a little bit. Maybe his play might push him into the starting lineup. We'll talk about that game and the Portland Trailblazers and what they have coming up here next on Danny and Dusty in hour number 2.
Wonder where to get your Blazers, Ducks, and Bees. It's right here on the airwaves of 1080. 1080 The Fan with Danny and Dusty. It's Danny and Dusty and Rust from noon till 3.
Hour 2 here on a Thursday afternoon on Danny and Dusty. We're listening on 1080 AM. Watching along on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan or twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan. We appreciate you. Love you. No Dusty here. He is possibly still flying en route. Will Ortner in. Jeff Russ behind the glass. Thank you for joining us here. We appreciate you. I was in the building last night for the Portland Trailblazers taking on the Basketball Bundesliga basketball team. That's the BBL.
I did not know that the Blazers got a BBL.
That's a different BBL.
German BBL.
I didn't know that there were German BBLs.
I mean, look, they're more expensive. Europe's always more expensive. Unless you're going to Turkey, get the hair job.
Just, you know.
Turkey's where you go to get the hair job. It's where it works.
Nothing's wrong with being bald. There's nothing wrong with it.
There is.
Like what, sir?
You're hairless.
Yeah, but that's
what was no longer an option.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of hair,
you could take the pill.
Toumani Camara took out his braids last night. Had a wonderful free-flowing flow. Just fantastic stuff. I asked him about it after the game, and he said, "I'm gonna switch it up. He's gonna put the braids in, take them out, have some fun with it." His hair is as long as mine right now, but his is lusciously curly. I'm violently jealous. But the Portland Trailblazers did take on a team from the Basketball Bundesliga last night. They've a team featuring two potential lottery picks in the 2025 draft, and Noah Sengwe and Ben Saroff, both of whom impressed last night. I won't regale everybody with that. I'll have that on the Jack Ramsey's Patreon. Actually, I'll do the podcast tonight and probably mention them a little bit more in depth, but I think that's a little too far above the pale. What are we, 9 months away from the NBA lottery? So, but we'll get there. But the Portland Trailblazers did play last night. Anthony Simons did not play. Jeremy Grant did not play. Shaedon Sharpe did not play. Robert Williams III, Matisse Thybulle. I believe that's everyone. The things to take away from preseason so far and what we have seen out of this team and kind of what to expect going forward. Number one, I think, is the biggest story out of preseason is that Toumani Camara has leveled up in that he is looking like not only a solid role player, but he looks like he could potentially be a very high-level role player on a team that matters. What that means to the Portland Trailblazers is that they may have found a nice little gem in the deal that ultimately sent Damian Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks last season. Two, has physically matured. He understands where he needs to be and what he needs to do better. His ability to make decisions quicker while not deviating outside of what the expectations are for him too often are pretty huge. Last night he had some turnovers. Again, against a lesser team, that's where in the preseason, that's where you want to kind of try some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But his shot looks incredibly comfortable. Defensively, his intensity, his willingness to compete, his ability to cover basically 1 through 4, to pick up full court, to rebound, to be a cutter, to do the dirty work stuff, to work off the ball. It's all kind of leveled up. And that's a big thing for Portland. And it's to the point where with injuries currently standing, I tweeted this out last night, if Shaedon Sharpe is going to be out to start the season, Toumani Camara should start. The starting lineup should be Anthony Simons, Toumani Camara, Deni Avdija, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton. That's how solid 2 has been.
Is that more so because of how he plays, or is it also because of his fit with that group, or is it somewhere in between?
It's both, because Scoot and Ant just don't really mesh well together because Scoot needs the ball so much. He has not developed the ability to play off the ball. And so if you've got Anthony Simons on the floor at the same time in the starting group, I'm not saying they can't play together, just starting the game, you want to try to balance things out, because what Anthony does, he is their best offensive player. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. It's the way he bends defenses. That's what enables other guys to have advantages.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is he able to do that without the ball? Yes. But
it's not as grand.
Particularly if Scoot Henderson's on the floor, because if now all of a sudden if Scoot has the ball and it's a drive and kick and it's kick out to Ant, Scoot's guy isn't going to go, I need to make sure I stay tight to Scoot.
Because of his shooting woes he's had so far. That makes sense.
And he's just got to figure some stuff out. So they're just going to preload to Anthony, and the advantage gain disappears. With 2, it's not that he's Ray Allen in the corner on the weak side. It's that he's probably a 36.5, 37, probably average to above average 3-point shooter.
Okay.
In that he has the ability to attack closeouts. And if you gain an advantage and you kick it out to him, you're at this point, I think you trust that he's probably going to take and make the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
And that's taking and making the right decisions is the next step in process and growth for this franchise for their young players.
Yeah.
And so I think they need to, as of right now, and this doesn't say it's like set in stone that Toumani Camara starts forever. Number one, when Shaden comes back, it should be his spot. If he continues to show what I heard was coming out of this summer.
Okay.
But Scoot could also advance. And you've already seen Scoot Henderson through the preseason. In Seattle, Scoot Henderson was awful. Full stop. Awful. The decision making, the shot attempts, I mean, he shot 4-16. The turnovers were underwater. He looked overmatched. He looked like he was attacking without a plan. Wasn't getting back defensively. It was tough.
So then I want to ask about that, because I went to a couple games at the end of the year and I watched, and I want, as a Blazer fan, obviously, I want Scoot to be what he was hyped up to be. It seems like maybe the hype might have been a little bit off, or at least off at the start. He wasn't going to hit the ground running as much as people might have wanted. It felt like at the end of the year, he had turned a corner where he was taking better shots. His shot selection was better suited for him, and he was finishing a lot of those. It felt like he was having higher assist games. It felt like he was putting his teammates in positions to score. It felt like he was driving with a plan, and he had a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, all depending on what the defense did. Why is there a step back? Is it just a bad game where the rookie stuff come back up and it's going to take him, a couple weeks, but eventually that'll be completely out of his game? Or was he just going up against weaker competition at the end of the year, so he looked like he had
more
made the
so
step?
the latter? But the big part of it is that growth isn't linear. You have the progression, regression, and then you 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and you get gains, but you take losses along the way. That's the big thing for me. And it's not as bad as Scoot was on Friday. He looked better on Sunday against the Kings. Now, it took him a little while to kind of get going, and most of the damage that he did was in the second quarter in about a 5-minute stretch.
Okay.
And the Kings, my God, they might as well have just
back to the Queens.
Oh my goodness! I mean, the level of sloppiness that they played with was. I mean, their own announcer was calling it disgusting. It was.
That's beautiful. We should have more announcers.
Tremendous stuff, and he did it with an NPR radio voice. That was the best part about it. But last night, Scoot ended up having a great stat line. He finished on with a 9 of 14. I think it was 6 assists. But what was interesting is I asked folks in the organization if Scoot was sick at halftime.
Yeah.
Because the effort, the intensity, and the energy were not there in the first half. It took, I think it was the 2 or 3 minutes to go in the second quarter, he finally started to show something. And you're playing, look, I get it. You're not playing an NBA opponent.
Right.
And I don't care about the box score stuff as much as like, let me see what you're putting on tape.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Scoot is at a place in his development where he is behind the 8 ball a little bit because of where he was drafted. And there is expectations that come with draft slotting, but there's also bonuses and things of that nature. You get extra chances and opportunities because of draft slotting. That's just the nature of the beast. It's always going to be. But you can't, if you're the guy who needs to focus on development, your energy, your intensity, your give a damn, that can't ever be questioned. And that's been questioned a couple times this year for Scoot already. And look, it's the preseason. It doesn't mean it can't change. But it's something that's lingering in the back of my head of like, look, man, you've got to make some advances. You don't have to turn into an all-star, but you need to make advances.
Mm-hmm.
And the box that should be automatically ticked of like, hey, you're 19, 20 years old. You should bring the juice every night. Should not be something I'm going, where is he at?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's my biggest question about him is that, and I think that's been the difference between him and Toumani in the preseason is that two's intensity, he's ready.
He's always going.
The regular season is here. You don't ever question where he's at mentally, physically, emotionally. He's ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, and part of it is that 2 is older, even though they've only been in the league the same amount of time.
Right.
2's physically, mentally,
4
emotionally,
years of college.
Yeah, more mature. And I think 2 understands that. And I think that's what you're looking at. And so let let Scoot come off the bench. Let him play with kind of a mixed group. Let him be on the ball a little bit more. Let him have a little bit more opportunity in that regard. We'll see them. I think we're going to get more of a dress rehearsal tomorrow night.
Okay.
As the Blazers have their first home NBA preseason game against an NBA opponent.
Not a BBL.
No BBLs in the building. Well, there'll be some BBLs in the building.
No, someone's got to go on a date after, right?
I mean, yeah. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And then Donovan Clingan, he's holding steady. Donovan Clingan stock watch. He's very big. He did block a shot last night without
7'2".
jumping.
That's awesome.
He was matched up against a big on the on Ohm's roster, who I wanted to see how big he was listed as. I was like, let me take a look. He was listed as 7 foot tall.
He was not.
He's 7 foot tall. Donovan Clingan is 7'6", because they saw them next to each other and he just dwarfed him.
That's
dwarfed him. And to be fair to Donovan, that has happened multiple times this year against guys that are huge. Ivica Zubac for the Clippers, Alex Len for the Kings. Like these guys that are like 7'1" plus, big barrel-chested, freaky, thick-legged humans that you're just
Strong
like,
guys.
And you go, oh, Donovan's significantly bigger than those guys. And that's going to be the fun game this year. It's a bummer that Zach Edey exists in the sense of like,
he's bigger
because he's so much bigger, because he's legitimately 7'5". That you just play the game of like, look, here's Zach Edey next to this, because you could play with Donovan Clingan because he's so big.
I am excited, and I don't know how much this will really happen, but with Scoot coming off the bench, I'm excited to see how those two interact with each other and how they play together and how the Blazers use them. Because to me, whether Scoot's been disappointing or not, he's still at this point has to be thought of as a piece, or really a major piece moving forward with what you want this franchise to be. I feel like Clingan has to be in that same boat of what you think about them moving forward, because they are your two most recent draft picks, right? Or at least your two most recent first round draft picks. I am excited as a Blazer fan to see how they play together. I don't want to see a lot of wins, right? You need to do everything that you can do.
I will say this right now. It is not something you have to worry about.
Good. I'm not worried about it then, but what I am worried about is how do they look together and do they improve as the season goes on? A guy like Tumani, I want to see him with Scoot as well. They're along the same age frame. How do they work well together? Because all the things that you've said about Tumani and him being, not saying that he's a possible trade piece, but there might be teams that are interested, especially at the deadline. I look at his age. I don't want that guy gone.
No, he's 24 years old.
I want him around. There are some guys where, if you get the right amount, the right return for Grant.
Sure.
Yeah, of course. Right. Tumani, that's a guy that I want to see him around. And so I want to see how he builds and how he reacts with Shaedon, with Clingan, with Scoot.
No, it's going to be really interesting. Last night, I think you got to see a little bit of the play faster, play in the open court. Denny Avdia threw 6 or 7 different lobs in the first half
Excited to see
alone.
Denny.
Yeah,
Can't wait to see Denny.
Denny was super fun last night, and I'm interested to see how he looks against. I know how he looks against NBA competition, but in the vein of like how he's able to set guys up against NBA competition tomorrow night. So we'll dive into that some more coming back next week, as the NBA season is less than a week away. It's here, ladies and gentlemen. No, that doesn't start during Christmas. Not on this show. It starts opening night.
Man.
You will not stop me. No, it's not happening. Not happening.
But what about the hot action that'll be on at the same time?
Don't care. Basketball. But I will deviate from basketball here. Get back to some college football. The Oregon Ducks take on the Purdue Boilermakers. We'll dive into that matchup here for a quick little bit. I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time diving into Purdue. Hopefully I'm not having to eat. Well, I don't work for Oregon, so it's not going to bother me if they lose, but hopefully what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And my co-host Dusty Hero, I would hate for him to have to fly home after that loss. So we'll dive into that game here next on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. The Oregon Ducks and Dusty Hera are en route to West Lafayette. God, West Lafayette, I mean, look, I know they're stealing the name from somewhere else to begin with, which is what we do in America when we name our cities. We just steal it from
Is
somewhere
it
else.
not named after the French dude?
Yes, but I've been saying.
Okay, good. I was like, we're on the same page. I just got confused.
But I hear West Lafayette, and I go full Cajun. Like,
see, I go full Hamilton.
I mean, to me, West Lafayette sounds Cajun. Like now all I have is Channing Tatum doing Gambit.
I don't know that I. Oh, that's the new Wolverine Deadpool.
Have you not seen it?
No, I went and saw Twisters instead. I'm going to see Deadpool when it comes out on streaming.
It's out.
Is it free?
No.
Oh, then once it's free, then
I don't know if it's ever going to be free because it's a.
Is it not Disney Plus?
No, it's Deadpool and the
but
X-Men.
it's Marvel.
Yeah, you got the split between Fox and Marvel.
Oh, so this
I
is
think
like
the first two
Spider-Man.
Deadpools are on Disney Plus, though.
Did they move them over?
I think so.
I thought, yeah, I thought it all got moved over.
Well, there's some of them that aren't, like Spider-Man. Spider-Man's also a product that's still owned by Sony.
Mm-hmm.
So I could be wrong, but I could have swore Deadpool Wolverine was not going to go to Disney
All
Plus.
right, well,
but I hope it does because I loved it.
I'll pay for it eventually. I do want to see that. Not
There you
yet.
go.
I
Anyways.
watched Twisters instead.
I haven't seen it yet.
Glenn Powell, dude. I got a huge man crush on Glenn Powell right now.
It was the Glenn Powell
and Daisy something. And then, ironically,
I hear Daisy, and all I think is Fuentes, and I think Jeff Ross and I are probably on the same boat there.
I don't. That
Nothing
reference.
wrong with Daisy
means-
Fuentes.
That reference means nothing to me.
Really?
And then the other guy,
forget, who's
Daisy
she
Edgar
married
Jones.
to?
The other guy's Anthony Ramos, who plays a character in Hamilton. He's not Lafayette though.
Timothy Adams?
That name also means
Richard
not what I
Marks.
was
No,
thinking.
Richard Marks.
Richard Marks. There we go.
Marks.
Yes.
But yeah, did Daisy was she a VJ?
Yeah.
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 What does that mean?
MTV.
Oh,
Oh, that's right. You don't remember that. Like,
what's her name? Daisy Marks?
no,
Daisy Fuentes.
Daisy Fuentes.
Fuentes.
Yeah, Daisy
Who's
Fuentes.
this lady?
Like, VJ was like the highest
Oh, she
Yeah.
looks familiar.
non-actress, actor
Yeah.
/ singer songwriter.
That was the zenith.
She's
Yeah.
old.
What?
She is old.
She's 57, dog.
That's old. That's 30 years older than me, dude. That's old.
Bless America.
I didn't. So she was like a news reporter. What's going on? And then she was on MTV.
She was a smoke show.
Yeah, but okay.
She was a host.
Oh, so she did like what? Total Recall Live or whatever.
No, VJ.
What's that? Video jams.
You got one video
jockey.
Video jockey. Oh, okay.
Instead of DJ. It
Well,
was a
because
VJ.
I know at one point MTV actually played music like their name says they do, but they haven't done that in my lifetime.
Do you know who Carson Daly is?
And Fred Durst, and see them argue over who. I can't say the rest of that lyric.
Do you know who Carson Daly is?
I'm vaguely aware of him. Like he did like Total Recall or whatever for
Yes.
MTV. He did like their big music video show. I understand.
TRL.
TRL. Yes.
Yeah.
Total Request Live.
Request. Why was I saying
Which-
Recall?
but
I know.
the,
That was
uh,
Schwarzenegger and Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Fair.
But did you see the thing, the documentary on that? It was all fake.
Really?
Like they.
Oh, TRL.
Oh yeah. All
I'm sure.
like all
I'm
like
shocked.
none of the voting actually worked.
Yeah.
Like it was the record companies that were like juicing numbers, like to push things out. Like oh yeah, it was.
This is my surprised face.
Yeah, I know, but it was just like because I remember there's songs like skyrocketing up TRL, and I'm just like, this song sucks. Why is this number
this
5 in the
getting put?
country right now?
Richard Marx was just like a solo singer. Is that what this guy's deal is?
Richard. Yeah, he was a musician, singer in
Is he,
late
like-
80s, early 90s.
Is he a big deal? Like, should I know his songs?
He had a couple of big, decently sized hits.
He's a country guy.
Well, he wasn't then.
Yeah.
Well, it says pop
He was-
rock and
yeah, he was-
soft
he was
rock,
pop.
but then
Yeah.
Maybe
he
under
reached
country
number
soft
one.
rock.
He's
Well, he
prob-
had a song with Kenny Rogers.
Well, he probably went by Dick Marks,
That would be. I mean, that's
Dickie Marks is definitely a country name.
right?
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and then he could have like a mullet because back then '90s, like that's perfect mullet time.
And he
Mullet's
goes on
coming
tour
back.
with his cousin Skid.
Skid Mark. Nice. I love that.
Or Roe.
I've heard of them.
That was the punk version.
Look, these guys.
You said he was
Sebastian
punk,
Bach.
right? Yeah.
It's a pop rock. Look, I'm just saying. I don't know. I can't relate to your MTV stuff here.
Yeah, the Vancouver Ford text line. VJs back then were the influencers of today. Yes, but they were limited and we got to shame them.
You get
Because-
to shame influencers.
No. There's so
Yes,
you
you
can't.
do.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I brought up the influencers in the wild. Have you ever seen that page on Instagram?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a treat.
The Costco guys.
But the thing is, back then they were limited. Like, and if they weren't good, if they sucked, they took them out.
Yeah,
Like,
but influencers now have they're all by themselves.
That's what I'm saying. Like we got to kind of like Survivor them. We got to like vote them off the island, and then
Ooh.
they would never reappear. They would just disappear into obscurity.
So Daisy was good then.
Yes.
Daisy was
Oh,
like
yeah.
a top influencer.
She was a top influencer, and she was a top hot.
So then,
She was around
So
for a long
as-
time.
so as
was
an
Carmen
influencer-
Electra? Was she a guest VJ?
so is Carmen Electra an
Maybe.
influencer?
Yeah. She for
Did she
that.
start
I
there
thought
on
she was a
Baywatch?
singer.
I thought that was Yasmin.
That's
Well,
Yasmin
did
She
she
Bleak.
start?
Oh, they
Yeah.
both did. Yeah.
Yasmin Bleak.
Bleeth.
Bleeth.
Close enough. I just only know that because of Friends.
Give Basketball a watch.
I've seen parts of it. I didn't realize that was her.
Really?
Well, I just heard Chandler talk about her on Friends. That's the extent of Baywatch that I understand. I've seen the new Baywatch.
I forget the year difference.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the comparison.
I'm
Yasmin
sorry.
Bleeth is your Alexandra Daddario.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Yeah, that's like the direct line. Okay,
It's great.
so
Okay. All right.
now,
I will give her credit then.
Now you have fundamental understanding.
So then what is Daisy Fuentes? Is Daisy Fuentes the Addison Rae of your time?
No.
What's
no,
going
no,
on here?
More Eva Longoria or not Eva Mendes. We're like
Oh.
did some stuff, but like she's cool now. Like she
Doesn't
didn't-
really, yeah.
like Eva
She
Mendes
was in a couple movies.
Mendes is married to Gosling, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and she
Yes.
basically said, "I'm good. I don't need to do anything anymore." That's basically Daisy Fuentes. She did a bunch of like hosting and stuff. Like I've completely derailed the segment.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I like learning. It's like history class.
Yeah.
Except I'm learning about things that I kind of care about. Eva Mendes was in more things than we give her credit for.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. She went and did a bunch of stuff, but she didn't have to be at like the front of everything. She did a bunch of hosting, I think.
Eva Mendes? I don't
Oh
know.
no,
dude.
not Eva Mendes. Daisy Fuentes.
Oh, I was like, Eva Mendes was Too Fast and Too Furious.
She did a ton, and then
She
she
was
stopped.
The other guys, Ghost Rider,
Mhm.
The Place Beyond the Pines,
And of course the
Training Day.
Oscar award-winning
She won an Oscar.
Hitch. No,
Oh.
God no.
I was like, isn't that just a bad movie about like Will Smith trying to marry people?
Basically,
I was gonna say,
But-
I've never gotten around to that. She's 50.
yeah. Thanks, Will.
It was surprised
the
me.
disdain
It
of which you
surprised
say
me.
50 and
It
57,
surprised
it's
me.
like, okay, dude.
It surprised
It almost sounds like more of an accusation.
Right? She's 50? Yeah. You know what? Google Halle Berry. Do you know how old she is?
I'm well aware. Dude, Selma Hayek's like 60 almost.
Yes.
I'm well aware. It just catches me off guard.
God.
I get confused.
I do kind of feel sorry for your generation because
There's too many hots.
Well, not only that, your hots are not being allowed to age. Like
What
our
do you
hots
mean?
got to were like they aged out.
I don't know, dude.
Yours
Selma
is
Hayek's
just
still kicking.
Don't get me wrong, she's holding on. That's what I mean.
She's
like,
still kicking,
You're,
dude.
you're not like the Jennifer Anistons, the Selma Hayeks, the
Well, they're rich.
yeah, I know, but like they find ways now, like to stay hot. They aren't
They're
like
rich. They pay for stuff.
they don't get to fall off and disappear. It's sad.
Yeah,
There has to be room for the top. That way, it's cyclical.
I know, but I've been working on this theory. I think that my influencers are like your version of like reality TV stars. And I think my influencers, except for like the top dogs, they're starting to get phased out. Like once you start going to the Costco guys as being the top influencers, you've gone too far.
For sure.
And there's going to be a course correction here coming soon. And there's going to be some people that are making money on TikTok that aren't going to be making a lot of money. I think Hawk Tua Girl is like the last made a crazy internet meme and is now relatively wealthy and famous.
Oh, don't. It's not. It's never going to stop. The TikTokification's never going to stop. And shout out to the Vancouver Ford text line, who is just throwing different things that Eva Mendes is in, including Texas Chainsaw Massacre and, of course, the other guys.
Other guys, she's fantastic.
She's
I'll never
fantastic.
watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You'll never watch it?
No, I'm not a scary movie guy.
What?
No, I don't like scary movies.
God.
Freaks me out.
Screw it. All right. We're past it, so we're just going to go worst day on the web. We'll be at Ducks and Purdue. That's how important that game is as far as previewing.
It's important. The spoiler makers.
Yeah, there you go.
You got to beat them.
But we
Catch our live coverage tomorrow at 1, starting with Ducks Game Day.
And then make sure you stick around for the post-game show.
Look, I'm just saying we don't need a ton of preview from me and you on this one because we're going to get right into it in the game day tomorrow. Coming up next, we do have Worst Day on the Web, of which I have a general understanding of what's going to happen, but I have been told I need to get this raw. But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Update.
They're doo-doo. Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan, Sean Payton returning to New Orleans as the Broncos visit the Saints tonight, beginning Week 7 in the NFL. No Pat Surtain for Denver. New Orleans will be without Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Shaheed will have surgery on his meniscus and is expected to miss about 4 to 6 months. 5:15 kick on Prime Video. The Saints are 2.5-point home underdogs. Over in baseball, both league championship series in action today. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland has begun. We start out in the American League from Cleveland. The Yankees looking to take a commanding 3-0 series lead. Clark Schmidt starting for New York. Matthew Boyd for Cleveland. 2:08 first pitch on TBS, True TV, and Max. And once that game is over, 9:10 will take you to Queens, where the Mets look to even it up with the Dodgers at 2 games apiece. Yoshinobu Yamamoto for LA. Jose Quintana for New York. That's a 5:08 first pitch on FS1. ESPN reporting Clippers forward Kawhi Leonard will be sidelined indefinitely as he rehabs from inflammation in his right knee, and the Blazers have waived guard Devontae Graham to bring their roster down to 18, including 3 two-way players. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now, Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's window into 1080 The Fan. time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Man, that sucks.
It's an age-old question, ladies and gentlemen. If you're at a friend's house and you plug that toilet, what do you do? That is what Stephen A. Smith and J.J. Watt were asked. We've got Stephen A. Smith's answer here first.
At Greg 1-667-693-5420. Stephen A. Smith. If you're at a friend's house and clog the toilet and there's no plunger, what do you do? Very, very simple. You close the toilet bowl. You call your friend and say, your damn toilet's clogged. I'm very, very sorry that I got up in there, but you didn't tell me your toilet was gonna clog. Do you have a plunger? If not, I suggest you go get one because I didn't know I was gonna clog the damn thing. I didn't know your toilet was gonna work, my bad, but that's what happened, okay? You ain't got no choice. What if you sit up there and just leave and then they come into their house and they see you clog their toilet and you never told them? That's very rude. That's very rude and it's very nasty and you don't want to be responsible for something like that, okay? So I would tell you that, all right? Okay? But that's it. That's where I'm going with that.
I love how he's basically blaming the homeowner for not knowing that Stephen A. Smith was going to clog his toilet.
He's going to give him the
double
decker.
I agree with him. It is kind of your fault as a homeowner for not having a plunger. You should have a plunger as a homeowner.
We have one of those little stands next to the toilet that has the 3 different types of obstruction clearing tools.
You have 3 different types?
It came with the toilet. It was like a little...
It was an accessory you could buy like for an extra 15.
Yeah, no, we also have the bolt-on bidet. So we're trying that out before we get to the...
You're experimenting with bidets?
Yeah, we're gonna move...
The meringues.
We're gonna move on up to the heated seat butt squirter.
Ooh.
But it's got the traditional plunger.
Yeah.
And then it's got the I don't know the actual name for it. The plunger that has it's like a nipple, it's like an inverted plunger, so that you can like get it in, you can get the suction correct, and then the brush, the industrial brush.
I have the brush. I have a brush and I have a plunger, but the brush isn't for clogs; it's for cleaning things.
You've just never had that issue, apparently.
I've never used the brushes for cleaning.
Yeah, I cleaned the toilet this morning. Good for me.
It's not me. It's not my wife. I'm just saying I've used a brush to take care of a clog before.
I think you're using that brush wrong.
Look,
as a known toilet clogger,
something needed to be broken up.
You're using it wrong. You're not supposed. That's for cleaning.
I know. I'm well aware of this.
That's like spitting on your toothbrush and then brushing your teeth. That's what you're doing.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes,
again,
it is.
And again, this wasn't mine. This was at my house, and somebody who was very, very, very intoxicated left something very destroyed when I was in the Air Force in my toilet. And like, there was nothing that was going to break up either the mass of toilet paper or the loaf of crap in the toilet.
What do you eat?
I don't know what he ate.
Is that just hardtack? Like, what are they feeding you in the military?
I mean,
I have questions.
Not things that digest simply.
But there's never a moment.
Brother,
Now,
I
look.
tried to flush this thing like 5 times, and it just wouldn't break apart.
I was a 315-pound man.
This is like a pine cone.
I was a large man.
See the Clorox roll?
Yes.
I mean,
that's foul.
The inside of that.
I was a very, very large man who took large dumps.
It looked like the burrito cart burrito
There's
that Jeff Ross
never
got yesterday.
once been a time.
If you would have picked it up and dropped it, it would have made a thud.
There's never once been a time, though,
That was
as
a
a
good burrito.
large dumping man, where I've looked at the brush and been like, this is my only exit out of here. That's not what it's used for.
I'm just saying, look, there is no, what would you use in place of again, like a brush that had like wire bristles on it? Like it's like,
No.
not You gonna use the plunger to break it up?
You gotta use.
What, are you gonna go to the
break it up
kitchen and
yourself.
grab a knife?
No, you know what?
Get an
No.
actual turd cutter?
No, you know what you do? You take a view of the surroundings.
Yeah.
You gotta take a visual look around.
And guess what has been in that toilet before?
No, before you do that.
No.
Before pants come off and a seat is taken, you have to
No,
take.
this man clearly
you have
did
to
not
do a
know he
scouting
was
report.
about to give birth.
You have to take a scouting report of the area. You are a military man. Do you just run into your missions blind? No, you don't.
Look, again, this
I
wasn't.
thought you were a recon guy.
No,
You
this
need
isn't
to have
me.
recon.
This isn't me.
I don't think that your friend is a good soldier.
We still don't know to this day who it was who did this. So
Yes, you do.
No, we don't. We don't.
They do.
No, this
They
this person
and they're
does.
gonna die.
But
with
this is a house.
because you have to in that moment.
Again, this is a house. 5 of us had the house together. It was a big old house. We all lived together. It was a big old house party. And
He did it in a party.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Who poops in a party? You can't poop in a party.
I mean,
it's like pooping at a bar. Can't do that.
no, man. Sometimes you just got to go.
No.
Look,
then you go home.
No, man. Look, you can't.
Can't take a road game at a party.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't.
You can.
No.
I have no problem with that. I mean, that's
She's really a party pooper.
That's exactly what it was. But no, it was like one of those industrial like wire brushes, and it had to be used to break up this mass of humanity of toilet paper and doo-doo.
Jennifer poops at parties?
Yes.
It was Jennifer?
Yeah. If that came out of
CJ told her he was trying.
Look, man, if that came out of a woman, that is a digestive tract that sex has not seen in a while. But yeah, no. I mean, look, I did the best that we could do with what was available.
With the doo-doo?
Yeah.
With the Purdue-doo?
Mm-hmm. So.
It's terrifying.
And see, Vancouver Ford text line. Exactly what Stephen A is saying. You just don't leave that behind. Look, it would have been left behind somewhere. I tell you what, it looked like somebody left a baby behind. So it's not a man, but it looked like a baby was left behind. But the Stephen A. Smith wasn't the only one that was asked this. We also need to get the other side of this with noted largeman J.J. Watt.
Yeah, you roll up your sleeve and you stick that hand down there and you do what you have to do. Then you wash
No.
that off. You
No.
do what you have to do. You don't leave the toilet clogged at your friend's house. You take care of that. You wash your hands thoroughly, maybe
No.
3 or 4 times. You dry them off, and then you go back out to that party.
No.
Bro, he's raw dogging the toilet?
No, you don't. No.
That man is. Look,
No.
J.J. Watt's like, look,
No.
man.
No.
We had some wild stuff happen in Wisconsin. Every now and then you had said that's the thing is it's
no
big old beefy linemen are going. They got the Chipotle burrito down there. Like, nope, I'm gonna roll my sleeve up and grab this 7-pound burrito that I just left in the toilet and just What I mean, you'd huck it out the window.
That's a D-line thing. No, O-linemen don't do that. That's disgusting.
That's because you guys
That's
don't process
foul.
anything solid.
No,
you're just.
He's a disgusting he's a father. He needs to be better as a father.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's probably seen. Like, look, man, have you ever seen what babies do?
No, and I won't
buddy.
anytime soon,
buddy.
You can't stick your hand in the toilet. It's like if you drop your phone in the toilet, the phone's gone. Flush it down the toilet. It's dead. Go buy a new one. If anything around you touches the toilet, it's gone to you. It's dead to you. Throw it away.
I would
It's gone.
be
Don't
more
touch it.
likely to put my hand in a toilet in this situation.
No
No.
shot.
Just
No
hear me
shot.
Hear me out. And I know how insane this is going to sound. I am more likely to do what J.J. Watt said than to retrieve a phone from a toilet and never use it again.
No.
You would.
I'm not sticking my foot or my hand. I'm not sticking any body part of mine in the toilet.
I'm just telling you right now.
Not happening.
Here, gun to your head.
I die. Kill me.
You have to there's a gun to your head. One of two things has to happen. You either have to grab the phone out of there and use it again, or clean it out with your hand and rinse your hand off.
Third option, death.
No.
Death.
No. Lifetime servitude.
No. Is there poop in there when I drop my phone in
Yes.
there? Death. I die so fast. Murder me in the streets.
Because I'd much rather rinse my arm off and be like, take like a scoring brush to my arm and like take a
No.
layer of skin off my hand than put a phone on my face that has been in the poop water.
No. I'm not dealing with poop water. It's why I don't swim in the Willamette. I won't deal with it. It's not happening. It'll never. No.
One of these
No.
times we're gonna drug Will and stuff him in a sack and push him in the Willamette.
No. I'd burn. I'd die.
Burn your skin off.
I'm not doing that. Like, there's no way to get that feeling off of me. It's like when you see it, like when you see a spider that's on you and then you get it off, but now you think there's always spiders on you for a little bit. It would be like that, but with poop all the time. No.
Vancouver Ford Text Time, near Joint Base, Louis McCord, there was a Chinese restaurant that advertised $1 Chinese food right off I-5. I can only imagine that place doomed many of toilets. Yeah, I can imagine that. Ooh, worse, ever had to call housekeeping for a clogged toilet? It's embarrassing. They refused to let me take care of it. I gave them a 20.
I've had to do that before.
Had to call.
They just come drop off the plunger.
Yeah.
There's
There's no worse walk of shame than that.
Yeah.
Than being like, hey man, I need the plunger.
Yeah.
That's a shame that they don't have plungers in.
Do you go down to the lobby or do you make the phone call?
You call.
It was the call.
You call.
Yeah.
You call. You can't have that shame.
You want them to bring
They
you
would-
the toilet, the
Yes.
plunger?
And
Yes.
you clearly wait
Just,
until they leave. It's leave it at the door. I'll be there in a moment. You don't show your face. If you clog a toilet, like
Bro, I've never clogged a hotel toilet. Like or any place I've ever been.
nah,
to like
dude, there's great shame. You bring shame to everyone
On
around
your family?
you. Yeah, like the
Bring
three
shame on
things
your
my
family.
parents would say to me when I'd go to friends' houses when I was a kid was make good choices, don't embarrass the family, and have fun. That's breaking rule number 2.
Oh man.
You can't embarrass the family. If anything, and you have to go down and get it, you have to go like Cleveland Browns paper bag over your head. You can't show your face. You can't do it.
Does number 2 work for?
That's insane.
That's a great reference.
Coming next, I just not on the doc. We have to talk about the story because it's absolutely insane. On ESPN, the front page, they buried the lead in a manner that I'm going to read you the tagline. Snowboarder accused of running cocaine ring. There's so much more to this. Coming up next here on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. Vancouver Ford text line, as always, has thoughts.
Yes, they do.
I remember back at this late 90s, one of our waiters at a hotel stuck his hand in the toilet to unclog it. You know, and this happens. He got stuck by a syringe. Oh, sweet Jesus, to have an open wound in poop water. Like that, like literally makes my stomach tighten to the point of me making a mess in a toilet. Like I don't know what to do with that. That sounds terrible. The first time I stayed at my now wife's place, I clogged the toilet. Had to take the walk of shame and ask her for a plunger.
That's my worst nightmare, dude. I got to be in love. That's like a 6-month like thing. Like, all right, we've been in it for 6 months.
I tested the boundaries early.
I don't. I do not.
Mine was like week 2.
As far as I'm gonna go is like, you might get Dutch ovened, but that's about it.
No, I wanted to know, like, hey, I'm gonna be in here for about 10 minutes. Are you gonna come looking for me?
Nope.
Am I gonna get a knock? If I tell you, hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, are you gonna trust that I'm an adult and not come check on me and make sure that I fell in? Because guess what? Yeah, I might be watching a video, but also I might have had something that's not agreeing with me right now. Are you gonna let me live? Or are you gonna, hey, are you okay? You gonna give me the Dumb and Dumber and be like, I hope you're not going number 2. The toilet doesn't work.
I have a friend sends me Snapchat every time they're on the toilet.
It's like me when
I don't know why I'm still their friend.
No, I when you see me arguing on Twitter, I'm on the toilet. I have nothing else to do. What else am I gonna do?
That's kind of funny.
I mean,
I don't like it when they do it, and I'm going to continue to refer to them as they.
Not going to name and shame.
Not a fan of their actions. Please stop.
Please stop.
You've been asked and told multiple times. I don't like it.
Are you getting the shot of the inside of the underwear?
No. It's like they take a selfie, and like you can kind of see stuff in the background where it's like, okay, it's very clear.
A stall.
Yeah. Or like, you know, you like, hey, why is there a Febreze thing just floating right above your shoulder? What could this be? And they're always shocked that I can figure it out. Like, don't send me a Snapchat while you're on the toilet. How'd you know? Like, well, I'm not a great detective, but I can.
Most of the fact
that
that you're curling your lip.
Why is your face so red?
Why are you squinting and look like your lips are pursed? But again, shout out to the Vancouver text line. You're like, look, this is the most crucial part of advice.
Yeah,
that I would
it's
give.
so true.
When you're playing an away game, you got to flush as soon as it hits the water. You can't let the.
Got to know where the Febreze is too.
That way it doesn't. That way, look. Even if you have to do the courtesy flush, I mean, even if you have to do the double flush,
you got to know.
You just got to know, because if you don't, you may pay for it.
You got to do this too.
The problem is, if you do that though, you might put yourself in a world of hurt, because if you don't have awareness, you may be leading to a quick flood.
You also
if you flush without looking.
You also have to do this though. Beforehand, you got to go number 1 so you understand what kind of water pressure you're dealing with.
Fair. That's the double flush.
It's the thing you got to be aware
of. So
you
go pee like a half hour, and then you hold the poop for a little while, and then you
understand. Because then you can know, like, can I play an away game? Can I not?
Yeah, because if you get that, you flush that toilet and it just kind of loosely falls. The water just kind of falls down the toilet. It's like
can't. That's a no go.
Because you got to understand what kind of engine you're running.
Yeah.
Are you running?
And
Are you running synthetic, or has it been a little while since you had the oil change?
Going in.
You might have some parts breaking off in there.
Going into, like, no one is surprised about what's happening.
Somebody's
when
trying
they go
to eat
there.
lunch right now. Is like, I hate you guys. So
you guys
much.
are the worst. Yeah. Look, I'm just saying, you know what you're dealing with when you go, and so you have to test out the system to see if it can handle what you're doing. And if it can't handle what you're doing, you got to go somewhere else.
That's what happens. All right, coming up in hour number 3. After the Oregon Ducks beat the Ohio State Buckeyes, there was a pretty seismic shift in the Heisman campaign odds. What does that mean for Dylan Gabriel and the Oregon Ducks? Come up here next on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your SportsCenter update. First on The Fan, Sean Payton returns to New Orleans as the Broncos visit the Saints tonight. That starts Week 7 in the NFL. No Pat Surtain for Denver. New Orleans will be without both Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Shaheed will have surgery on his meniscus and is expected to miss 4 to 6 months. 5:15 kick on Prime Video. The Saints are 2.5-point home underdogs. Both league championship series in action today. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland is already underway. We start in the American League from Cleveland. The Yankees looking to take a commanding 3-0 series lead. Clark Schmidt starting for New York opposite Matthew Boyd for Cleveland. First pitch coming up on TBS, True TV, and Max. Once that game is over, 910 will take you over to Queens. The Mets look to even it up with the Dodgers at 2 games each. Yoshinobu Yamamoto for LA, Jose Quintana for New York. 5:08 first pitch on FS1. In the association, the Blazers have waived guard Devontae Graham to bring their roster down to 18, including 3 two-way players. ESPN reporting Clippers forward Kawhi Leonard will be sidelined indefinitely as he rehabs from inflammation in his right knee. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Mash the subscribe button and like us for live streaming video and 1080 The Fan on demand. This is Danny and Dusty.
It's not your problem, Doc. You don't have to mix up in this.
That is a hell of a thing for you to say to me.
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
Go ahead. Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
I'm your huckleberry.
The Fan.
Hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty. Whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080 in The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for joining us. We got something for you here. Weird Al Yankovic. Coming to the Northwest.
Straight out of Linwood.
It's happening. In August of 2025 at McMenamins Edgefield, you can text WEIRD, W-E-I-R-D, to 503-864-6326 now to enter for your chance to win tickets to Weird Al on August 13th at McMenamins Edgefield 2025.
I believe it's the 14th.
14th, yes. I'm sorry, the text or the text on my copy here is off.
Gotcha.
Thank you, good sir. So yeah, text now. Weird. 503-864-6326. Visit 1080thefan.com for all your complete details. Winners will be selected and contacted as necessary.
Weird Al was a major part of my 6th grade year.
That's crazy because Weird Al was around and like booming when I was in 6th grade.
I know.
In my 6th grade.
Yeah.
I know, but I'll tell you what, there was nothing sweeter after listening to Chameleonaire riding and being like, I'm awesome. Me and Crazy Bone were riding dirty. And then hearing Weird Al's White and Nerdy, that was just a great time to be
That was
alive.
probably just so down your lane.
And
right?
Canadian Idiot as opposed to Green Day's American Idiot. Doesn't get better than that. Although Eat It was great too.
Eat It's good. They do the
Eat It holds
the
up.
reverse food cam and they play Eat It at the Blazers games.
That's fantastic.
The reverse
Yeah.
food cam that's one that'll get you.
Has Weird Al had a #1 hit?
I don't think so.
He should have.
No.
There are some great songs.
I mean, look.
What's his highest streaming song?
Very fun, but maybe not great songs.
No.
Since literally none of them are originals.
So it doesn't have to be
It's
original
all
for it to be
repurposed. Come on
great? Oh, whatever. People do remixes all the time that are great.
The remix to Ignition.
Hopping fresh out the kitchen.
There you go. So there you go. Right there. Back on track. 2024 Heisman Trophy odds. In the least surprising fashion, Ashton Jeanty leads all players currently in the country at plus 230 heading into this week. Fresh on his heels, though, is Oregon quarterback Dylan Gabriel at plus 260. He had a good game against Ohio State. A very good game.
It was his best game of the season so far.
It was not a Heisman Trophy winning game. And I don't think he's been a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. He's been very good. What we're talking about with Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty is otherworldly. And Travis Hunter has fallen down because injured.
He got hurt and he missed the second half of the K-State game.
And so everybody freaked out. And weirdly enough, his odds are now at plus 600.
He is going to play this week though, so it was just like a bruise situation. He'll be back. Yes, but there have been no Heisman Trophy quarterback performances. There's been one person all year, I think, who's been performing like a Heisman Trophy winner, and then you have Travis Hunter, who's doing something that we've never seen before, right? Because if Travis Hunter just plays cornerback, cool, like he's a good cornerback. If he just plays wide receiver, cool, he's a good wide receiver. If he just played wide receiver, he's not a Heisman Trophy wide receiver. But when you do both, that puts you in the conversation. The only guy who's putting up true Heisman Trophy winning numbers is Ashton Jeanty.
Yes.
And he's doing it against legit competition. And it's not like, look, the Boise State offensive line, that's a good O-line. And for
It's not Georgia.
But for a group of 5, now a group of 6 conference, Boise State puts out a lot of really, really good offensive linemen that play on Sundays.
Sure.
If you're an offensive lineman and you're not getting the Power 4 love from this area, most of those guys find their way to Boise State.
They find their way there, yeah.
Right. That's where I wanted to go. I want to play on the Smurf turf. So I get it. But Jeanty is running through contact and he's making people miss. I want to say right now, if you go into the Mountain West, Ashton Jeanty is the number 1 rusher, obviously.
Yes.
The number 2 rusher is Ashton Jeanty after contact.
I believe actually last week or the week before.
The Utah guy finally passed. Utah State guy finally
I would
passed.
say
him?
he led the nation in rushing after contact.
Like that's insane.
That's the insane thing. It's
what
like,
he's doing.
Yeah, it's not. This isn't video game. This isn't Michael James, Kenyon Barner. Get out in space, Oregon, breaking 60-yarders in
where
space
no one's touching him.
Yeah, this is. Let me delay behind the offensive line, break 2 tackles, break through to the second level, break another tackle, and take 20.
Well,
and that's my normal carry because he's averaging almost just under 10 yards a carry.
And he was averaging over for a long time. And he's going to go against a lot of rush defenses that are in the 100s when it comes to stopping the run. What he's doing, and most of the time, the concepts that they're running are either zone concepts or duo concepts. So he's doing a lot of this in between the tackles. He's just getting the linebackers to deliver themselves to offensive linemen and then making his cut off of that. Like you look at the Oregon game, I want to say that he had 20 to 24 rushes in that game. You take away his 3 or 4 explosives, Oregon actually held him to like 3.5 yards per carry. The problem is you can't take away his explosives, and he had a monster game against one of the better defenses in the country. I don't think Oregon's defense is the best, but I do think it's upper echelon, especially what they're doing on that defensive line behind Derek Harmon. And in that game, Jordan Birch was healthy, and Birch was playing absolutely nails. So what he's doing to me is the only true Heisman performance so far this year. And that's why I think you see Dillon Gabriel rise in the rankings. It was the same thing with Milroe. Jalen Milroe against Georgia played amazing. He played like a Heisman Trophy winner in the first half. And then in the second half, he wasn't
he played like Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, he wasn't great, but he made a big-time throw in a big-time moment when you needed it most, right? So I just think that Gabriel's rise and Milroe's rise is you just played a big game. You didn't make a big mistake. You were better than you've been this year, and no one else has really run away with it aside from a kid in the Mountain West. So you get to go up in the Heisman rankings.
Yeah, I don't buy, and this isn't Dillon Gabriel anti-Oregon stuff. I don't think there's been a quarterback that's been worthy of being on the same line. Because right now it's plus 230, plus 260. You're basically saying they have essentially the same odds between Jeanty and Gabriel. And Gabriel has not, the bar for college quarterback has been raised so high.
Mm-hmm.
The Heisman Trophy needs to go back to being the best player in college football.
I'd agree with that.
Dillon Gabriel is not the best player in college football.
Not right now.
I would imagine that there are probably 15 to 20 players better than Dillon Gabriel in college football. And that's totally fine. And again, that's not a shot at him. He's very good.
He's very good.
He's very good.
Yeah, I might make the argument he's not the most valuable player on that team.
Again, that's my point. And it's not taking a shot at him.
No, very good.
It's become
very good.
The Heisman Trophy has become this quarterback award, and it's like there's been so many years in Ndamukong Suh. You just kind of go back and you look at like the number of times when the Heisman Trophy, like when it went to Reggie Bush,
he was the best player.
He was the best player in college football. When it went to Tim Tebow, it's the best player in college football. When it went to Charles Woodson, it was the best player in college football. The reason you see like the Nissan Heisman House,
right?
That commercial. Look at the guys that are in that commercial. More often than not, the guys they have in that commercial are the guys that when they won Heisman, like think about the number of Heismans in the past 15 years that just like they were great, but do you go, that was the best player in college football? Or do you say that was the best player on the best team?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the last one that really stands out to me in that way would probably be Lamar Jackson, just because that Louisville team
yes,
was
elevated
not the
it.
best. Well, Jaden Daniels, like, and USC was in the conversation when Caleb won his, but they weren't the best team in college football.
But like, again, you understand what I'm saying? Like,
yes, and
where
I
there's
get what you're saying.
The proliferation, particularly of offensive players and quarterbacks in college. I would love to see Genty or Hunter win because number one, a running back, or number two, a two-way player, because we haven't had a two-way player since Charles Woodson.
And he's more of a two-way player than even Charles Woodson.
Yes, and I think like that's the thing is like, I want if there's an Ndamukong Suh, if there's a Jadeveon Clowney, if there's a
Derek Harmon,
there's a dude in the country where you go, that is the most disruptive player in the country, offensively or defensively. Like when Randy Moss, even at Marshall, you're just like, oh, sweet Jesus, what is this? Like and I don't care what school they go to. And honestly, I would actually be okay if Travis Hunter, let's say, stays healthy. And that's the only time he misses that. And Colorado finishes with like 6 wins. But he keeps doing what he's been doing. I'm okay with him winning a Heisman because it's not the best player on the best team. It's supposed to be the best player in college football.
Right. I think if he keeps doing what he's doing, I actually don't think he'll win unless you get a big media swell behind him, because I think we all know who the best player in college football is. And
right now, it's him and Genty. It's everybody else
Genty.
is fighting for it.
I think the reason that you're going to see Gabriel on it is like you've said, right? Best quarterback on the best team, and right now Oregon has the best 2 wins. You have 2 wins against ranked opponents. Now, to be fair, they were both at your own house, and I'm not taking a shot at Dylan Gabriel. I think Derek Harmon is the most important player on that team.
Sure.
With what he's able to do in the middle of that defense and stop the run, but also get pressure on a quarterback. And I'm biased towards O&D linemen.
Sure.
I just am. That's the position that I played. That's the position I went against.
Look, if you
have a greater appreciation
a Joe
for
Thomas
it.
that comes out, like you get that generation of the Orlando Paces of the world.
Right.
When you get a guy, an offensive left tackle,
Penei Sewell,
like it's just so unbelievably good.
Right.
I would like to see them win it.
It'll never happen. You
because
don't get stats as an O-lineman. It'll never happen. And Harmon, he won't get enough stats to do that. But if you are watching Oregon defensive
the
film,
Ndamukong Suh season, that's where the one where you go, yeah, okay.
Right. Everyone is focused on how do you slow down. I mean, that dude gets double teamed every single play and he's still murdering people. But I think the reason why you see Gabriel at what he is like you've said, best quarterback right now on the best team, and Quinn Ewers, who is probably the best quarterback on the real best team in Texas, at least what they've shown.
Look, if Quinn
consistently.
Ewers is healthy, had he not missed time,
2 games.
He's the guy I think that is the quarterback that's above everybody else.
Right. I think Gabriel is there because you also look at the schedule. And you go down that schedule, you still have to play Illinois. That's a ranked team. You're going to play Michigan, who I don't think they'll be ranked when you play them, but it's Michigan and it's on the road.
It still has that. Yeah.
You're going to play in Camp Randall at the end of November, so there's going to be snow, right? You're going to play UW in a rivalry game, which UW might not be as good as they've been in the past, but that's still a game that's going to matter. And then you're probably going to get Ohio State again, and if you don't, you're going to get Penn State in the championship game. So I think what they're looking at is he's going to have a bunch of nationally televised games. And if Oregon can look like they did on Saturday and run the table, or even if they have one blemish, but it's close, just like Ohio State has a blemish right now, there's a world where you can put Dylan Gabriel in as the Heisman if Ashton Genty takes a step back or something of that nature.
No,
That's just kind of why I think he's where he's at.
100%. Coming up next, I did tease an insane story, and I have to get to this. Olympic snowboarder wanted for cocaine distribution, but there's more. We'll come up next year on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. This is not on our show prep with the doc. I was just in a break, just kind of scrolling, making sure I'm staying on top of the news of what's going on in the day. And the top of ESPN's page read, snowboarder accused of running cocaine ring. Click. What? Click. What the hell's going on here? You click one step into the story, Olympic snowboarder wanted for cocaine distribution, murder. Dog, what?
I feel like one actually should be above the other.
Like, the headline, basically they buried the lead there because, look, if you put snowboarder wanted for murder, I'd be like, all right. But I guess if you do the cocaine and snowboarder, you get to make all the powder jokes
Like, are we sure it's not just snow?
Fresh powder?
Are we sure it's not just snow?
I mean, yes.
Like,
I mean,
it could. It
you
could
don't
just be
actually
snow.
need to use the droplets on it. You just put it in not freezing temperatures.
I'll be right back. I got to go take one more quick dump.
Right?
Is that how snow works?
No, that's how cocaine works.
Oh.
At least as far as horrible bosses told me.
No.
The FBI is
Oh,
currently
yeah.
offering a $50,000 reward for the information leading to the arrest and extradition. See, they tag that on there. That's how they get you. It's always in the fine print. It's not just the arrest, it's the extradition, getting him out of a country. For Ryan James Wedding, a Canadian citizen who is living in Mexico and is considered a fugitive. He's 43 years old. He is wanted in the U.S., charged with running a criminal enterprise, murder, conspiring to distribute cocaine, and other crimes, U.S. prosecutors said. He is
Oh
one
my
of 16 people charged in connection with a ring that moved 60 tons of cocaine via long-haul semi-trucks.
Oh my goodness! They seized
120,000 pounds of cocaine.
They seized cocaine, weapons, ammunition, cash, and more than $3 million in cryptocurrency.
Authorities allege the group killed 2 members of a family in Canada in retaliation for a stolen drug shipment, in which officials say there was a case of mistaken identity and at least one other person.
He's
Just-
already been in jail for cocaine distribution.
Also, they call this guy an Olympic snowboarder. He competed for Canada, #1, in 2002. The statute of limitation on Olympic participant? Come on. Look, Olympic medalist?
Does 2002 not count as the Olympics?
No, I'm just saying.
Are we not start calling like Mark Spitz an Olympian?
Look,
he's an Olympic swimmer.
The man finished 24th in the parallel giant slalom.
Hey, he's still an Olympian.
Come on.
Yeah, that counts. He went.
I do that. That's going to be on my business cards.
Oh, yeah.
I know, but
no,
I mean,
that counts.
This is selling it like Sean White went out and look, and again, Sean White, great name for a cocaine distributor.
Also, great name for a snowboarder.
Right?
To be fair.
The Flying Tomato. It'd be funny if like he
That
like,
is a tremendous nickname too.
right? And if he went like full Super Troopers, instead of the Johnny Chimpo, they went little tomato stamp on their drugs. Do you not?
I missed out on Super Troopers.
The
How?
snozberries taste like snozberries.
How has someone your age not seen Super Troopers?
You need to see Super
That is like
yeah, that's not one I'm going to fight you on. That's on the list. That's one I should have seen. That's a miss. Look, sometimes I miss.
Long story short, they
Hand
had
up.
drugs bundled, and they had a stamp of a cartoon monkey where a banana was also his.
His tail.
He was again, yes,
Yes.
Johnny Chimpo, and he was in Afghanistan animation.
Oh. The only part of that I've seen is when they pull the guys over at the very start and the guy eats everything and then starts freaking out.
The snozberries taste like snozberries, and much like our snowboarder here, he went to Mexico.
We're already pulled over. We can't pull over any
We can't
further.
go any further. You boys like Mexico? Turns out the snowboarder does. Why is the snowboarder going to Mexico? Why not go to like someplace where you can snowboard?
You can snowboard in Mexico, I'm sure. There's got to be a mountain that has snow.
Look,
if they can make
Yeah, but
snow
you're getting
in
down pretty
California-
tropical down
yeah,
there.
I don't.
I also think that right now the first thing on his mind isn't snowboarding.
I mean,
possibly
snowboarding is life, bro.
I think he's got his life doing something else, and I feel like that is a prime location for him. Sometimes-
Popocatépetl, Mexico's second highest mountain, is an active volcano known for its glaciers.
Yeah.
Uh,
Look, dude, sometimes the way a business succeeds is being in the right location. And I feel like he might be in the right location.
Mexico's best ski resorts with 2.1 out of 5 stars. It has the highest rating in Mexico.
2.1? I'm going to go to Mexico.
This
but
is a lot
I
like
wanna
going to Iceland
snowboard.
for the beaches. Like among scales for beaches, Iceland beaches ranked 1.8 out of 10.
2.1 out of... I want to know the person who went on Yelp and was like, this mountain sucks.
I mean, again, tropical.
Gonna go to Mexico.
Getting awful close to the equator.
But I'm gonna snowboard.
This guy hasn't been caught, but if you have information, you can go get $50,000. I mean, you're not getting 60 tons worth of cocaine, but 50 large.
Go get the notorious RJW.
Yeah, it's not working.
We'll find something else that we can wed him with a nickname.
All right, coming next, I'm an idiot, and I forgot to do our picks. So we're going to do our picks here at 2:30. But first, it's a Big Kahuna with Sports Center Update.
You ever had a Big Kahuna burger?
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge. Online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It's hard to stop a train. First on The Fan, Sean Payton returning to New Orleans as the Broncos visit the Saints tonight to start Week 7 in the NFL. No Pat Surtain for Denver, New Orleans. No Chris Olave or Rashid Shaheed. Shaheed will have surgery on his meniscus and is expected to be out 4 to 6 months. Kick on Prime Video at 5:15. The Saints are 2.5-point home dogs. Both league championship series in action today. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland is already underway in the American League. From Cleveland, the Yankees looking to take a commanding 3-0 series lead. It is the top of the second, and we are still scoreless. Once that game is over, 9:10 will take you to Queens, where the Mets look to even it up with the Dodgers at 2 games apiece. Yoshinobu Yamamoto for LA. Jose Quintana for New York, 5:08 first pitch on FS1. ESPN reporting Clippers forward, Kawhi Leonard will be sidelined indefinitely as he rehabs from inflammation in his right knee, and the Blazers have waived guard Devontae Graham to bring their roster down to 18, including 3 two-way players. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Hot Corner, now in its new time. Tuesdays at 7 after Isaac and Sue on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
As on time as always, it's Thursday, 2-ish. Which means it's time to dive into our NFL picks before. Hey, the hour still exists.
It's 2 o'clock somewhere.
It's 2 o'clock somewhere. We've got Dusty's picks, so let's dive into our picks for this week. Our Stone Cold Lead Pipe Locks. We all did okay last week, and we're actually we're all just sandwiched in with each other here. Jeff Rust pulling up a tight rear at 14-9-1. I'm
noticed.
Ooh, the little work you put in.
If I don't watch my girlish figure, who will?
Puckering up a little bit more, 15-8-1. There I am. Dusty here, not and kissing sisters, 16-8-0. No ties yet for him.
We're all doing pretty good.
Yeah, I need to start stealing your guys' picks.
I mean, we're all three of us are doing good.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you're shooting for 51%. Anything over that, you're doing great. As long as you're gotta get your units right. All right, I'll go first here.
Always got to handle your units correctly.
Handle
Never
multiple units.
mishandle a unit.
Yeah, absolutely not. I'm going to go ahead and start us off with the road dog. Lions plus 1.5 at the Vikings. Look, man, I know the Lions are going to be a little shocked. The loss of Aiden Hutchinson, they're going to be on the road. That Lions team is a wagon, and I think they're going to get the bump, the unification bump of losing Aiden Hutchinson, the come-together bump that kind of comes when those situations happen. I think Dan Campbell's going to do the best he can against this Vikings team. And look, these are the games that matter for these two teams. This division is an absolute monster, and this is where you need to find a way to separate.
Well, this is actually where we get into a lock fight because I actually have the Minnesota Vikings at minus 1.5. Here's my reasoning for it, and you mentioned it. Aiden Hutchinson is out. That means that Detroit defense, they are losing half of their sack production. I think that this Vikings offensive line, they're going to keep Sam Darnold upright, and he's going to pick apart this secondary for the Lions that has been suspect at best. They've been hidden behind Aiden Hutchinson's greatness. So I'm going to go with the Vikings minus 1.5.
This line is kind of big, but I feel like this could be a good get-right game for Buffalo. They're hosting the Titans, minus 9.5. I'll go ahead and do that.
Yeesh. That's a big one.
That's a big one.
Look, those big lines haven't fared well.
Get Amari Cooper.
You got to get the underdogs in those big lines have done well, but Tennessee has gacked away more than a few games. Dusty's first pick, Broncos at Saints over 37. I took the stinky line of the week last week with the 35.5 featuring the Broncos. They're getting another 1.5 here. Broncos Chargers or Broncos Saints. I don't know which one I'd like less, but I stayed away from this one, so I think I like this one less. My second pick, I'm taking Bengals minus 5.5 at the Browns. Speaking of unplugging toilets, the Browns, I don't think you can cut that turd any bit. If you tried, it's bad. It's awful. It's a terrible quarterback. Nick Chubb is not going to do enough. Joe Burrow is going to find a way. Give me the Bengals minus 5.5 at the Browns.
I've got the Texans plus 2.5 against the Packers, going with another road dog. Going with the Texans because I think that they are going to be able to scheme up some blitzes. Will Anderson absolutely exploded. Now, I understand that Patriots' offensive line is rough. I think Anderson's going to be able to get after Jordan Love. I know that the Texans need to keep winning if they want to keep pace with the Ravens, if they want to keep pace with Buffalo, and especially if they want to keep pace with Kansas City. They need to come out and win this game. I think at worst, this is a 1-point game. If they lose, that still gets us our cover.
I'm right there with you. I got this game at +3, but I'll go ahead and swipe your 2.5.
2.5's good.
Yeah, 2.5's good. Look, yes, the Packers have looked pretty good, but the Houston Texans are humming.
Yeah, they are.
Along.
They're a wagon. Yeah. And again, the NFC North games this weekend, this is where you kind of look at it and go, okay, here's where the separation comes, because they're all playing, man. And it's one of those situations where, well, the Bears are off, but they come back and play next week against the Commanders and Jay Daniels. So this you got to keep pace right now. Dusty's second game, he took the Colts -3 over Miami. I took a look at this one, but you've got Joe Flacco against the corpse of whatever quarterback the Dolphins are going to run out there. And games like this, there's just no consistency. I get what he's going for. Colts lying on the corpse that they know in Joe Flacco. Not a bad way to go. I'm going to go for my third pick. I'm taking the Falcons -3 at home against the Seahawks. Look, the Seahawks, they played 3 games in 10 days. They get the extended break after the Thursday night. You make the cross-country trip. Falcons have got some weapons. Seahawks aren't healthy. They need this game to keep pace in the NFC West.
They do.
I just don't see it happen. So give me the Falcons and the points.
I've got the Ravens -3.5 against the Bucks. This one's pretty simple for me. This doesn't feel like a game that the Bucks win. I feel like the Ravens are a tier above Tampa Bay. And what does Baker Mayfield like to do? He likes to throw the ball to the other team. He's had a lot of interceptions
Baker
this year.
touchdown maker, also interception maker.
Look at the Ravens as well. A lot of people are going to go and point to the stats of that defense. It's not as good of a defense as they had last year because they lost McDonald. That being said, the quarterbacks that they've gone against, it's Josh Allen, it's Stroud, it's Mahomes. Your only weak one that you've gone against is Gardner Minshew. I think that this Ravens defense is better than everyone thinks. And then I also think that Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson run wild on Tampa Bay, and they cover and they win this game by a touchdown, maybe more.
I'm going to go to our nation's capital. The Commies hosting the Carolina Panthers.
They're doo-doo also.
Yeah, they certainly are.
Yes, they
That
are.
line's just a little too big for me. I want it to go.
I don't care. I'm taking it. The Carolina's so bad.
They are. They're terrible.
And James Daniels has
And
looked fantastic.
I think I've picked against Carolina almost every single week, and I've won every single week.
Yeah.
But the second it got over 7.5, I went,
I get it.
Anything over 7.5 this year just hasn't done well. And now that I say that, you're going to get back-to-back big spreads that are going to work for you. Dusty's third pick, he went Eagles -3 over the Giants. I like the pick not because I like the Eagles, but because the Giants suck. So it's pretty simple. And with that, my fourth pick is the Eagles -3 at the Giants for the aforementioned reason of the Giants sucking. The Eagles are a trash can. I continue to say this. I very genuinely believe, and have said this since the beginning of the season, the Commanders are the best team in that division. The Eagles are. Here's the thing. The Eagles, even if they win, they still might fire Sirianni.
Yeah.
And they are just a dumpster fire, but their dumpster fire is less, it's more just tire fire than the dumpster fire that is the Giants, which is more like kitchen debris. It can be a little stinky.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I just want to check one more line. I'm going to go to the last Monday night game. I have the Chargers -2 against the Cardinals. This is simple. It feels like when the Cardinals aren't on offensively, it's quick 3 and out. What does Jim Harbaugh like to do? He likes to run the football, maintain, and then he's got Herbert starting to find wide open wide receivers. I know they have some injury issues. I think that the Chargers and Harbaugh are going to be able to get this done. They're going to be able to confuse Kyler Murray and slow down that Cardinal offense. They're going to get the win and the cover.
For my last pick, I'm going to jolly old London town where the Jaguars are playing the Patriots. Look, the Jaguars, they're doo-doo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Drake May came out last week, threw 3 touchdowns. The Patriots are 5.5-point dogs. I can't see Jacksonville beating anybody by 6 points at this stretch. So I'm going to take I can't believe I'm going to say this, the Patriots +5.5.
Ooh, riding that Drake May train, huh?
Yeah.
All aboard that May train. Mayday.
Be white knuckling
Good
that son
luck
of a
with
gun.
that Sally Fields tale. Dusty's also trailing the Bengals -5.5 at the Browns line. This feels like the Vegas sucker line of the week, but the Vegas sucker line of the week has landed every single week for us. So I'm going to keep going. As long as the Vegas is going to chum that water, I'm going to hit that line. It's that simple.
Not bad there. Last one, I'm going to go. I have San Fran -1.5. I'm trying to check if that line has moved. Is that still there? Ooh, excuse me. I actually got it at -1. They're taking on the Chiefs. I feel like San Francisco is right. I know Kansas City's coming off a bye, and for whatever reason, the last 4 or 5 years, they've just found a way to win games no matter what. Like, they don't care about covering. They just find ways to win, and with such a small spread, they should be able to cover, you would think. I just think San Francisco is finally back. They're not fully healthy, but they're mostly healthy, and especially on that offensive side, they're going to get it done.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Our picks for this week, the Stone Cold Lead Pipe Locks. When we come back, we know who is going to be calling our Christmas Day games on Netflix.
Oh, boy.
It's going to be a family affair. We'll get to that here on Danny and Dusty, Tony the Fan. Andrew Marchand of The Athletic has some, I guess it's technically breaking news. He's been able to discover who Netflix's Christmas Day NFL doubleheader broadcast crews are going to be.
It's not me.
It's not none of us here.
Unfortunately.
I was not, I did not accept the, I didn't have the option.
They didn't accept my handwritten note. They did not appreciate it.
But the play-by-play broadcasters for the doubleheader will be the father and son duo of Ian and Noah Eagle. Noah Eagle, of course, of 1080 The Fan fame.
He was?
Yes, that's why he's famous.
Yeah, he was on with us last week.
We had him last week.
I was like, when did he work here?
No, he just made an appearance here.
It's like he's only like a year older than me.
He's 27, isn't he?
Dang it, we're the same age.
Super successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be the voice of NBC.
Picked himself up by his bootstraps.
Yeah, I mean, look, nepotism, it matters.
No, he's really good.
But he's also very good.
I want that clear. He is very, very, very good.
Ian Eagle will be joined by Nate Burleson and Greg Olson, while Noah Eagle, I'm sorry, I had it backwards. Olson will be joined by
Ian?
Noah Eagle.
No.
JJ will be joining Burleson and Ian, calling his brother TJ Watt's game.
Ooh.
So you've got double family affair. JJ on TJ and Noah on Ian. Hot family action.
I'll tell you what, I actually
And there's not a dryer involved.
I'm really intrigued with Noah and Olson. Like, Noah is a very good play-by-play man, and Olson
is great.
He might be the best color guy going.
I think he is.
Like, the fact that he's on the 2 with Fox is brutal, especially after all
third leg Greg knows what's up.
7th floor crew.
But there's kind of a weird situation here. For those that don't know, the Christmas Day games are going to be carried by Netflix.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a
You'll
weird...
get them in the mail like a couple days after.
Yeah, you can get DVD games.
It'll be great.
But basically, they are going to support everything around it and then pay those announcers out of pocket because they have contracts with NBC and CBS and Fox. So, and obviously Noah is part of the Big Ten, which has NBC and some
he's
other
NBC,
ties. So
Peacock.
Yeah, and it's very weird. Like, I'm surprised that the other companies let these announcers out to do these games, but apparently they're paying a metric crap ton of money for them, so they're going to do it.
Right. Well, I also think it's a smart move by Netflix. If you're like, obviously they were able to make it work because remember back in the day when TBS would do nothing and then all of a sudden they just had playoff baseball and you'd have guys that hadn't called baseball games all year. Like, you need to have that practice. Well, Netflix, if they just hired a couple people, they're not going to have the practice built up. So why not overpay a little bit? Because, everyone's going to be watching because everyone's going to care and want to tune in to these football games. Overpay a little bit because I think you're going to make it up on the back end. And now you get some really interesting broadcast crews.
Yeah, no, I think that you're kind of assembling some guys that have some reps together, but Netflix is paying $75 million a piece for each game, just the broadcast rights.
Oh,
yeah, so nice little $150 million for Christmas alone.
How much are they going to make on that, though? Like, will we ever get the true numbers? If they're willing to pay 75,
no, we will, because that's wherever this stuff goes.
Right.
Because again, this is Netflix's first foray into live content as far as sports is concerned.
Football.
Yes.
Well, because remember, didn't they have one of the stupid Jake Paul fights?
Yeah, I guess.
I think they're going to get the Tyson one,
yes,
too.
Technically, I guess that is a live sporting event, but I should say
Yeah, this is their first football one.
Foray into sports.
It's a live spectacle anyway. How
yes,
about that?
there you go.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it for today's show. We appreciate you. Thank you all for joining us. I will be back tomorrow afternoon from noon to 1. Dusty will be, he is already in Indiana for the Purdue Oregon game, which after an hour of Danny and Dusty with just Danny, I will hand you off to Ducks Game Day, which will carry you through the rest of your Friday.
Friday.
Be
great.
Well, Warner, thank you for joining us, buddy.
Thank you for having me. I always appreciate
Anytime. Up next is 4 Hours of Power from their mouths to yours. Isaac Ansuk? I see.
He's running around. Suk's here around here. He'll lumber in.
So that's it. Take care. Bye.
It's very rude and it's very nasty. That is an atrocity. My bad.
I'm Leif, owner of Leif's Auto Collision Centers. A recent survey found 90% of auto collision repairs performed at insurance